Hey everyone, welcome back to Themis and Thoth. Grab your coffee, water, tea, whatever you are drinking, go and get that. I'm doing I'm doing tea. I'm doing tea. I just got back from the gym and I'm not hungry, which is weird. I might become hungry in a minute. All right. First things first. Y'all heard about this man who got pushed into a lake, was underwater for about 10 minutes before someone, not one of the friends who pushed him in the lake, but someone, a passerby, came, got him, and he was unconscious for a while and then miraculously came back to, and then came out and told us that, oh, his friends were just playing. Let me read. So, an aspiring black doctor in Louisiana who was nearly drowned last month after a white coworker shoved him into a lake has fully recovered and says he harbors no resentment towards the person who nearly caused his death. Quote, I don't think anyone did anything intentionally wrong, Christopher Gilbert told the New York Post about the April 14 incident that left him on life support for 3 weeks. The 26-year-old scholar who last year earned his master's in biological science from Louisiana Tech University made a miraculous recovery and is now defending his 22-year-old coworker who pushed him off a deck at the lake, nearly drowning him. Blah, blah, blah. Initial reports said the man's pals did nothing to rescue him as he began struggling in the water, leading family attorney to characterize the incident as intentional and potentially racially motivated. Now, healthy and speaking again, Gilbert emphatically denies these claims as well as his mother's assertion that he was brain dead. Quote, I kind of hate the claim about me being brain dead, or this attempting for it to be some sort of a racial issue. Gilbert told the Post, explaining that such a prognosis would be damaging to his future as a physician. Quote, who would want a doctor who has suffered brain damage, he asked. Gilbert also refuted Payne's claim that the family was seeking Holland's arrest over the incident, telling the outlet that's completely false. Gilbert's attorney confirmed that Gilbert had no intention to press charges against the friend or anyone else in relation to the matter, when previously Gilbert's mother claimed that the family was planning to file charges after her son was declared brain dead, with his organs on the brink of failure after his pals played a prank that nearly turned fatal. However, Lawrence describes some of George and Payne's previous statement as reckless. All right, blah, 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 blah. He's saying, them people ain't did nothing wrong to me. I don't know why my mom is out here yelling for justice, this, justice, that. We were just playing. They pushed me in the water. I can't swim. I went under for about 10 minutes and they watched me drown, or watch me trying to swim, dying, and no one came to my aid. However, my mom is doing too much because ain't nobody tried to do anything to me. Now, let me tell you this. Let me see. Call her Molly, Amy, Clea, Emily, Katie, Madeline, Kathleen, Emma. Let me see how many I can go. Abigail, Jenna, Heather, Holly, Allison, Hannah, Catherine. Call her whatever you want to call her. All of them going to prison. From my perspective, all of them going to prison. The fact that you almost lost your life and you're sitting up here talking about, oh, we are friends, they were just playing a prank. At what point was the prank over? Because after you've been underwater for over 10 minutes and none of them jumped in to save you, girl, all of them should be under the prison. What do you mean? Oh, it was an accident. What part was the accident? You getting shoved into the water where you don't know how to swim, or you being underwater for about 10 minutes and none of them coming in to save you? Please, please explain to me what part of it was a prank. And this is like the frustration, because on one hand, he's defending these people who literally would watch him be unalive. Like that's wild. Like your friends are watching you struggling and none of them are willing. So none of them can swim. None of them can swim. None of them jumped in to save you because none of them can swim. They pushed you into the water. They're watching you go under, and none of them coming in to save you. And you're just like laughing it up. Now you're like, okay, I'm better. Now I'm conscious. They didn't do anything. Let's leave it alone. I can understand wanting to move on, mind you. I can understand wanting to move on from the situation, but to come out here and tell us to all be quiet, it's not what it sounds like, there's no racial motivation, and maybe there isn't, maybe it was a prank. But at the point where you're underwater, where you're struggling, and your friends are watching you struggle, and none of them come to save you, girl, at that point it's intentional. What do you mean? I don't care. It is reckless. At least the best case scenario for them is reckless, like reckless. Even if it's not intentional, it is absolutely too reckless. Everyone's getting sued. My mom would probably lock me in the room. My mom would lock me in the basement and go do what she need to do if I ever stood up here talking about some, oh, they're just friends. They didn't do anything wrong. Like, girl, what are you talking about? Like I was reading the story, right? And like I haven't even finished any of the story. I just always put it down in the way that I just put it down. Because like the more I read, the more frustrated I get. Like this person seemed to want to be inculcated in, you know what? Let me leave it alone. I'm gonna leave it alone. Do you? They didn't hurt you. It was all a joke. Good for you. Live, laugh, love, find your best friend, do what you need to do. I don't care. You don't care. I don't care. Also, the whole Clay thing, dating that girl who we shall not name here. A girl, period. Love is love. Ain't nobody care about that. You know what? Let's get into this video. This intro is annoying me. The entirety, let me just say, the entirety of this video already, the entire, let's let mm. All right, someone is asking Clay who. It's fine. It's fine. If you don't know, if you don't know who this man is and what they're doing with Selena, whatever. If you don't know who anything about any Clay or anything, you're on the right side. Like the over there is the dark side that ain't nobody got time to. No. Mm-mm, mm-mm. I refuse today. I refuse today, but Friday I might not. Friday. Friday I might not. Yeah, Friday I might. The spirit of drag might hit me on Friday. The, the, the spirit of drag might hit me on Friday, and I might get into it. All right. So 2.5 years ago, I came online and I let you all know that the FBI and CIA were looking into the Manosphere. There was an uptick in hate speech and actual physical violence against women. And the research is coming out now indicating that there are some ties, direct ties to language being spoken online around women, devaluing women, attacking women, and seeing women as sort of objects, right? And I talked about it, and There were reports about the FBI investigation into the Manosphere, and a lot of people. Sorry, I haven't eaten, and while I'm not hungry, I don't think I have control over my speaking faculties in the way that I want it. So let me be really careful. A lot of the people online decided that they were going to leave the manosphere, right? And what they think is leaving the manosphere was that they they were just going to announce publicly. They were going to announce publicly that they are leaving the manosphere and they're not changing anything in terms of their content, right? The interesting part about this is, girl, at any point did you say you were going to join the manosphere? No. The reason you were placed in the manosphere as a content creator is because of the kind of content that you were providing, saying, I'm going to leave the manosphere, and then espousing the very same rhetoric that made you a part of the manosphere is absolutely diabolical, disgusting, and ultimately stupid. It is one of the dumbest things. Like, you heard that the FBI and the CIA, mind you, this is from the Department of Homeland Security now. The Department of Homeland Security is funding Diverting Hate, which is a nonprofit organization doing research on hate speech online, which is a separate thing that we are going to get into today. That's what we're talking about. But before we get to the Department of Homeland Security funding research into the manosphere, and have a black man, as the second highest ranked in terms of their research is nasty and diabolical. What the fact that there is a black man, mediocre tutorial and review, at number two over Rollo Tomas, who is the grandfather, the grand wizard of the manosphere, is absolutely diabolical. But before we get to that, let's step back and think about this for a minute. You heard that the FBI, the CIA might be looking into the manosphere, and you, in all your wisdom, decide, you know what I'm gonna do? I'm just going to announce that I'm leaving, and I'm just gonna continue to do the same foolishness that I've been doing. Advertisers are pulling away from you. And instead of changing your content, maybe rethinking what you're doing, I'm not saying change it, girl, do what you need. You announce, oh, I'm leaving the manosphere. Girl, what you thought that was about to do? What did you think? I need to, mediocre tutorial, mediocre man, whatever your name is, reviews and mediocres. I need to talk to you. If you want to do an interview, I'm up to talk to you, and it wouldn't be a drag. I just want to know the sort of mental processing that was happening for you, where you were like, I am leaving the manosphere. However, nothing about my content has changed. You think that the affiliation with the manosphere officially is the problem and not the content itself? Are you dumb? Like, I am watching these men, the lead attorney person, all of these men coming up. I am leaving the manosphere. I want nothing to do with it. Blah blah blah. And then you make the same content. Girl, what are you doing? Just, just worth like. I just the lack of foresight is just ridiculous to me. Like, the unwillingness to engage in like deep thinking about how you are going to be perceived. And this is not just about the Department of Homeland Security funding a nonprofit that is researching the manosphere and put out a list that is now public facing about these people. It's not just that. I'm thinking about sort of when we look back at this content in terms of how we will be dissected and digested more generally, right? How will we show up, right? What will people say about your contribution? And it feels like, in an attempt to make a quick buck, in an attempt to grow a platform, that we bypass any meaningful sense of morality to get to the top. And it's like, but why would you do that? You could have actually built something meaningful. Even if you want to look, I don't know what men need advocacy for. If you tell me, if you ask me, Themis, on a real, like for real, for reals, what are men fighting for? What should men be fighting for? My question will be, who men fighting? Who men gonna fight? You're saying that men need rights and men should be fighting for their rights. And I'm saying, okay, period. Men should fight for their rights. Who then gonna fight? Because if you're not going to say other men, I don't know what you're talking about. Who is preventing men from actualizing their full potential in terms of their rights? It's not women. These are the same people. The men who are online arguing that men need rights and there's a men's rights movement and men are at the bottom and men are losing power and blah, blah, blah. They're the same one who will tell you that men own and operate, run, build, contain the system, right? They are men when it comes to the system, right? But they're saying men are being deprioritized and women are being prioritized by whom? Who doing it? Who is doing it? For real, for real. Y'all want to drag women. Are women controlling men? Who oppressing you, girl? Who is oppressing you? And by girl, I do mean men. Who is oppressing you? So when you say men have to fight for their rights, men are fighting other men for their rights, it sounds like it's not a fight. It's that men should come together and think about what it is that they want, i.e., do you want your kids? You want your kids, then go fight in Georgia so that you can have rights to your child as soon as you can prove paternity. Do that. Oh, that's not what you want. You just want to whine and cry. You just want to whine and cry online, talking about, oh my God, the court is keeping me away from my children. Okay, then fight for your children. Don't give up your child without fighting for them. You're not going to do that. Got it. You don't want shared custody, got it. But the court keeping you away from your kids. The court that you didn't go to try and get your kid is keeping you away from your child. Y'all don't have any issues outside of child support. I sat here and watched a bunch of men sit with a presidential candidate running as an independent. So, girl, not really a presidential candidate, but like, I mean, officially a presidential candidate, talking about y'all want to stop paying child support. Y'all want to stop paying child support. Girl, what are y'all doing? Just absolutely ridiculous. Anywho, sorry. I, I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed on a couple of fronts because I don't believe, after watching Fresh and Fit, I don't like the way this list has been organized. I disagree with the list, and how it's been organized. But it's hard for me to sit here in defense of these men, black men in particular, content creators online, because it's like, how did you not see this coming? And also, not just this coming, how do you not see where this is going? Like, it's very clear. It's like when men were celebrating overturning of Roe v. Wade. I'm sitting here very confused as to why they would sit up here and celebrate Roe v. Wade being overturned. Go, that don't make sense. You know what? I need to recenter myself. So let's do this. We need a break. We need a break. Let me play Not Like Us. I'm gonna play Not Like Us because ain't nobody. And Kendrick Lamar is number one. Kendrick Lamar eating the girls up on these charts. I'm just in the middle of my rant, just going to Kendrick Lamar because I need a break. I'm going to say something that I regret and I don't want to let me back out. Because I'm actually kind of frustrated in that, like, while men might not have a problem to discuss, like men aren't fighting to get their rights. No one is taking away men's rights. Black men might actually have an argument about fighting for something when it comes to the system, right? But every time they sit down, it's like, not they. And the people with the loudest mic online are arguing about women. And it's like, women aren't the ones who are making you unemployed, right? There is a prison industrial complex. There is a high homeless population among men. Like, there are so many issues that are facing the world, and particularly Black men, that you can create actual agendas for you to advocate for. And the fact that we spend so much time online talking about women is wild. Like, that is wild to me. The spirit of dry. What? Let me play this because I'm annoyed. I'm annoyed. Like, on one hand, like, I want to laugh and like, oh my god, this is so funny. But on another, it's like, really, it's deeply sad. Like, these people, if you don't continue to create content, means that you're going to be excluded from the job market, because what you are toxic. The ideas you are espousing, they're toxic. And the fact that you don't know that, I don't understand. They're also dangerous to women. Like, everyone with half a brain cell, even the people espousing these ideas, must be able to tell that their ideas are toxic and harmful to women. All right.
They tell me Chubbs don't.
I'm so happy. I was gonna start with this song, but
I see dead people. Hey, monster on the beat, ho, Debo, any rap nigga, he a freak throw, man down, call her Amber Lambs, tell him breathe, bro, Nella nigga to the cross, he walk around like Tizo. What's up with these jabroni ass niggas trying to see Compton? The industry can hate me, fuck them all and they mama. How many options you really got? I mean, it's too many options. I'm finna pass on this body, I'm John Stockton. Beat your ass and hide the Bible if God watching. Sometimes you gotta pop out and show niggas. Certified boogeyman, I'm the one that up to score with him. Walk him down whole time, I know he got some hoe on him. Pull on him, extort shit, bully the floor on him. Say Drake, I hear you like I'm young. You better not ever go to cell block 1. To any bitch that talk to him and they in love, just make sure you hide your little sister from him. They tell me Chubb's the only one that get your hand-me-downs. And party at the party playing with his nose now. And Baca got a weird case, why is he around? Certified lover boys, certified pedophiles. Wop, 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 wop. That fuck him up. Wop, 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 wop. I'ma do my stuff. Why you trolling like a bitch? Ain't you tired? Trying to strike a chord and it's probably A minor. They not like us. 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 You think the Bay gon' let you disrespect Pop, nigga? I think that Oakland show gon' be your last stop, nigga. They cold foul, I don't know why you still pretending. What is the owl? Bird niggas and bird bitches, go. The audience not dumb, shape the stories how you want. Hey Drake, they're not slow. Rabbit hole is still deep, I can go further, I promise. Ain't that something? P-Rest, that's for bitchin'. You Malibu most wanted, ain't no love boy, you ball boy. Fresh Gatorade or something. Since 2009, I had this bitch jumping. You niggas will get a wedgie, be flipped over your boxes.
Yeah, period. They're not like us. They're not like us. Sorry, I had to break it up so there is some level of commentary, fair use and all.
Over your foe, the other vaginal option. Pussy, nigga better straighten they posture. Got famous all up in contact. Might write this with a doctor. Tell a pop star quit hiding. Fuck a caption, won't action. No accident, I'm hands on. He fuck around, get polished. Fucked on Wayne Grow, he was in jail. That's conniving. Then get his face tatted like a bitch apologizing. I'm glad D-Rose came home, y'all didn't deserve him neither. From Alondra down to Central, nigga better not speak on Serena. And your homeboy needs subpoena. That predator moving flocks. That name gotta be registered and placed on neighborhood watch. I lean on you niggas like another line of walk. Yeah, it's all eyes on me and I'ma send it up the pot. Ay, put the wrong label on me, I'ma get them dropped. Ay, sweet chin music and I won't pass the ox. Ay, how many stocks do I really have in stock? Ay, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 plus 5. Ay, devil is a lie, here 69 God. Ay, freaky ass niggas need to stay their ass inside. Ay, roll their ass up like a fresh pack of Zod. Ay, city is back up, it's a must, we outside. Ay. They not like us. 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 Once upon a time, all of us was in chains. Homie still double down, calling us some slaves. Atlanta was the mecca, building railroads and trains. Bear with me for a second, let me put y'all on game. The settlers was using town folk to make them richer. Fast forward 2024, you got the same agenda. You run to Atlanta when you need a check balance. Let me break it down for you, this the real nigga challenge. You caught Future when you didn't see the club. Like, what? Little baby help you get your lingo up. What? 21 get your false street cred. Thug makes you feel like you a slime in your head. Like, what? Quavo said you can be from Northside. What? 2 Chainz say you good, but he lied. You run to Atlanta when you need a few dollars. No, you not a colleague, you a fucking colonizer. The family matter and the truth for the...
Oh, thank you, London. This is like it. I'm already in a better mood. It's at number one on the Billboard Hot 100, girl. It is at number one on the Billboard. Period. Continue.
The matter, it was God's plan to show y'all the liar. He a fan, he a fan, he a fan. He a fan, he a fan, he a freaky ass nigga, he a 69 God. Freaky ass nigga, he a 69 God. Hey, 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 run for your life. Hey, 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 run for your life. Freaky ass nigga, he a 69 God. Freaky ass nigga, he a 69 God. Hey, 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 run for your life. Hey, 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 run for your life. Let me hear you say OV ho. Say OV ho. Then step this way, step that way. Then step this way, step that way. Are you my friend? Are we locked in?
Yo, the fact that it's still trending at number one on YouTube Music is actually wild. Like, that's actually wild. I didn't even notice that. It's still number one on YouTube Music trending. Period. All right. So, with that palate cleanser, we can get into this report again. So, DH, which is diverting hate, it is funded. I don't think you can see this. Let me zoom in. This project is funded by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security Center for Prevention Programs and Partnerships, opportunity number, blah, blah, blah. And it is, in fact, a 501c3. Diverting Hate is a nonprofit, tax-exempt charitable organization under Section 501c3 of the Internal Revenue Code. Now, the report, unfortunately, I cannot find the link on the channel, the website. You have to subscribe and do all kinds of foolishness. But this was floating all over Twitter. It is important that I do note here that while I believe this is the report, I am not sure if anyone tweaked it. I don't know if this is a direct report. And there is an issue because the way I understood the FBI and CIA sort of investigation outside of the Department of Homeland Security was that any list that was coming out wouldn't actually be public facing. It would be internal until there are actionable items to sort of address the kinds of concern that would be a security risk for women and children, right? And so it is weird to have this list being sort of disseminating in this way. And so I'm a bit skeptical. I'm skeptical. Not only am I skeptical, mind you, I disagree with the ranking of the peoples on the list. And I know a lot of people are going to be mad at me for that, but I disagree with the ranking. Harriet Pineed has been a member for 22 months. Thank you so very much. I actually really appreciate that. I really appreciate you and being here and your comments. All right. Let's get into this. So, diverting hate, misogynistic extremism, the manosphere, and mainstream social media. And we're going to go down to, I'm going to skip past the executive summary and and, and talk about what it is that they're doing. So, the growth of online male supremacy, it says, this comprehensive analysis delves into the concerning influence of the manosphere across different online platforms, focusing on YouTube incels. The examination of YouTube reveals a lucrative trend where influencers profit from misogynistic content, employing a strategic formula that include leveraging TikTok content to disseminate anti feminist ideologies. The male supremacist scale, they have a scale for male supremacy. Case study on YouTube influencers demonstrate the scale's effectiveness in assessing and targeting diversion strategies. This exploration extends to off mainstream platforms like uncovering heightened loneliness during holidays in incel forums and prevalence of far right ideologies intertwined with manosphere concepts. Overall, the research underscored the urgent need to address the propagation of misogynistic narratives and extremist viewpoints within the manosphere, emphasizing the importance of targeted interventions and understanding the dynamics across various online platforms. All right. So let's look at the male supremacist. The male supremacist scale is nasty work. What? calling them calling them male supremacists is nasty. It's nasty and diabolical work. Jazzy, you've been a member for 2 years. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. This is wild. If I were on a list that says that I am a male supremacist or whatever, funded by like legitimately funded, assuming it's legitimately funded by the Department of Homeland Security, I would be shook. I would be shook. I would be scared out of my mind. And the reason is, girl, what am I gonna do in life? Anyone who Googles me or look me up, there is a legitimate study. There is a government funded research or outline, or even if you want to call it a pamphlet, it's a research study in some ways that lists you as a male supremacist. Girl. Mm, you better stay in these men's space and hope to God that the men continue to support you. Because what? So, the male supremacy scale was developed by Portia Dashgard, the director of research at Peril, as a tool to understand, define, and quantify the phenomenon of contemporary male supremacy, specifically in the context of online platforms. Employing a mixed method research design, Dashguard collected and synthesized data from various sources, include online ethnographic research, a key informant interview, and a scale designed to measure contemporary male supremacy. The result was reliable and valid instrument for assessing contemporary male supremacy known as male supremacy scale. Girl, a male supremacy scale is nasty and diabolical work. Like, this is wild. I mean, we knew this was coming, but it's still, like, nonetheless, this is, like, actually crazy. The male supremacy scale is a 15-item scale to measure male supremacy broken into three subscales: anti feminism, female dishonesty in relationships, and women like alphas. Feminists in general, and more specifically, the role the role feminism has in society. Female dishonesty in relationship highlights the view that women are not able to be faithful in a relationship and are by nature dishonest. Women like Alpha is based on hypergamy and the values that men of the manosphere project onto women, and determines if the participant feels that women are only interested in high status masculine in quotation men. Utilizing a 7 point like scale, ranging from strongly disagree to strongly agree. The highest ranking on male supremacy scale is a 105. So the highest you can rank on the male supremacy scale is a 105. All right, so we'll skip over application, and we're gonna look at the 15 categories broken up into three, right? So on anti-feminist, by the way, I heard someone, I think this is important. I heard someone say, this is feminism. They're saying that you are what male supremacy because you are anti feminist. That's not what the research here is saying. It is saying they're categorizing a bunch of your language in anti-feminist category, where when you speak about feminism, you speak about sort of womanhood, and how the modern woman is feminist and thus feminism is bad, right? They're talking about talking points from the manosphere. They're not saying because you're anti-feminist that something is wrong with you, which if you're strictly anti-feminist, something is definitely wrong with you. I'm on my feminist arc. But let's continue. So under the anti-feminism, there are 5 points. Feminism is about hating men. This is what the men say. 2, modern society prioritize women over men. This is absolutely wild. And the fact that there are so many men who actually believe that women are prioritized over them is like, it's just, I just don't. I don't see how someone could come to that conclusion. I really genuinely don't. But let's continue. Feminists are unattractive. Women use feminism to gain an unfair advantage over men. Feminists are seeking to control men. And then there is female dishonesty in relationship. First, if a man commits to a woman in a romantic relationship, she gets the upper hand. In a relationship, women are less trustworthy than men. Men in romantic relationship need to be constantly on guard for cheating. Women have a biological drive to cheat on their partners, and then you can't trust women to be faithful in relationship. The last one is that women like alphas. Women are biologically driven to seek out the highest status men possible. Girl, absolutely. I wish this were true. I wish this were true. Women cannot help being attracted to rich men. Women cannot help but be attracted to those who are higher in status than they are. Women are not attracted to men who have low social status, and women are attracted to high status men. All right. So, this is the scale that they use to rank the people. But let's get to this ranking. Remember, the highest you can get is a 105. And I have a problem. Look, media tutorial, mediocre man, or whatever, mediocre we're going to watch mediocre respond to this. We're going to watch mediocre respond to this. And Jazzy has been a member for 24 months. Again, thank you so very much. I don't disagree with his assessment because he big mad. Mediocre tutorial, the real me, I don't know what his name is. I'm just going to do MTR. MTR is upset that he's ranked number 2. No, no. Why is he ranked number 2? I don't know. I do not know. I cannot explain to you why he's ranked number 2. I don't know how he's ranked over the rational male, right? Who the grandpappy for the manosphere, the grand wizard, the great grandfather of the manosphere is ranked below mediocre tutorial and review. That doesn't make sense. Fresh and Fit is ranked below mediocre, and even Just Pearly Things, who thinks that women should not be able to vote, is ranked below MTR. This is actually kind of wild. This is kind of wild, but I'm not going to sit up here and defend none of these people. I am so sorry. I refuse. I refuse to waste my breath. So just remember the ranking, because the mediocre man, where is he? So this mediocre man is going to discuss what he thinks is unfairness. And it is so sad to watch him, because on one hand, he is trying to pretend like this doesn't bother him and he doesn't care, and it only further legitimizes his position with men, right? And on the other hand, right, you can tell he's scared. And who wouldn't be? I would, let me be clear, I would be very scared, but maybe because in my mind I have things to lose. And if you are on a list that says that you are male supremacist, that was funded by the government and is published for all to see, and you don't care, you have nothing to lose. I'm sorry. There is no possible way you have anything to lose, you have any significance in the world, that you care about your connection to the world. There is no care at all if you don't care, because that don't make no sense. The fact is, a mediocre tutorial is going to say, oh my God, but I left the manosphere. Okay, cool. Let's say you left the manosphere. Did anything change? Did anything change? And they're calling him an incel. They call these people an incel, so he's included in the incel. Period. Period. I have critiques of the study. I have critiques of the method. No, you know what? Let me shut up. I ain't doing it. I am not doing it. Let the study study. Let's hear this man.
That I have for you guys today will be the panel that talks about, because today we will go there. But before we do, shout out to my community. You guys have sent me this case study, this article, an uncountable amount of times. And I will admit, I looked at this about a week or so ago. And when I saw that they ranked me 2 out of 10 on the male supremacy index for content creators, I immediately thought to myself, how incompetent of the researchers, how incompetent of the authors to create something like this, to so inaccurately describe what it is that I do up here. Let me just throw this thing away, because who would ever want to believe something like
Girl, this man out here, this man out here whining and crying online. I wish I could feel for him, but the way you're out here driving. Someone said his eyes are rebellious, and y'all all need to go on timeout. Every single person in this chat, y'all need to go on timeout. Whoever said the divine one, you are on. How are you going to sit up here talking about his eyes are rebellious? I'm not doing this with y'all tonight. Not only are they on the FBI watch list, now they're on a Department of Homeland Security list that says they are male supremacists. Girl. Girl, when I say the L's are Lling, y'all not tired of taking L's. Whew. All right, let's go. Let's hear mediocre.
this, but you guys continue to send it to me, which allowed me to do additional research to understand the implications of exactly what it is. See, we live in a world today where standing up for yourself as a man is not only demonized, but apparently there are government organizations that are funding control of what you watch. And they're doing it blatantly right up here on YouTube. Again,
standing up for yourself as a man. Standing up to whom? Who are you standing up to? Are men having to stand up to women? And why? Like, I actually, oh my God, I would love actually, truly, fundamentally, to interview some of these people. Like, what do you think you have to, who are you standing up to? If you say men build this world and women didn't, are men having to stand up to men? And if so, why are women involved in this conversation? I think the part that he's not saying is that he's not the man who built anything. And I'm not going to speak any further on that. Girl, he is mad. Look at that face. He better be cross, angry, miserable. Whoever said something about this man's eyes, y'all are going straight to the warmest part in hell. I have never, ever, ever looked at this man's eyes. And the fact that y'all talking about it right now is wild and diabolical to me because I ain't never noticed. I think my Discord might have said something, but I wasn't watching and it was on my phone. But now I can see, and like, I can see clearly now. Y'all play entirely too much. Entirely too much.
Implications of what this means for not only myself, but pro masculine content is insane. But this is the discussion that we must have. So, what is good old MTR talking about? There is an NGO, a non government organization called Diverting Hate, which is funded by, among others, the Department of Homeland Security. You'll see that written right down here. Who, by the way, should be utilizing our tax dollars to protect or to tighten up our borders, keeping us safe, securing our nation from the very real threats that we are facing. These very competent people over at Diverting Hate, with the support of the DHS, have again put me on a list, crowning me number 2 male supremacist right up here on YouTube. But here goes the actual list right here. You'll see me up at number 2. Now, I know what you're saying to yourself, which is, what the hell is male supremacy? They actually have written definitions of exactly what it means, and we're going to go directly through all of that. And truth be told, honestly, I'd be happy to wear number 2 if I thought that this shit was accurate. But these smooth brains put me above, amongst others, Fresh and Fit and Just Pearly Things. Really? Just Pearly Things, the platform who actively advocates for women not being able to vote?
In truth, Just Pearly Things was demonetized, right? And part of the research was talking about the people making money. Obviously, Just Pearly Things probably still making money from her platform, but they're not making it directly from YouTube. He is, and he might be more insidious than all the other people. And so, like, one of the things that I wanted to get into is the kind of methodology that digs at kind of how they actually rank, as opposed to the broad brush 3 categories with the 15 list of items. I wanted more from the methodology section. I did, but I can create, and you don't retroactively do this, so this wouldn't be real research on my end, but I can create a scale which puts him somewhere at number 1, actually, when it comes to reach, likely to actually lead people, and the fact that he's, in a lot of people's mind, he speaks with a kind of authority that Just Pearly thinks, and it's not a lot. Like, I'm not saying he sounds smart. He does not to me, but he sounds smarter than the other people in the Manosphere. In fact, I predicted that he would be taking over the Manosphere, but apparently the people in the Manosphere said they can't see it. They don't see it for him. I am so done with y'all in this eye thing. I am so done with y'all in this eye thing. I have never noticed this man. Y'all play too. Someone said his top lip doesn't disconnect from his teeth. y'all, y'all, dead. Absolutely wrong. Y'all, absolutely wrong. What do you mean his top lip doesn't disconnect from me?
which begins, by the way, to tease out the sheer incompetence and bias of the authors of this report. But even outside the incompetence, the authors use the tried and true methods of positioning content creators like myself as being a hate group, so much to the extent that it's laughable. So we're going to go through components of this case study today that is reflective of me, myself, and my channel, because what they've attempted to do is to bucket all content creators together as if we all believe in the same things, or if we all teach the same things, or if all of our audiences behave in the same way, label us all of these weaponized words such as extremist and male supremacist, which, by the way, is a derivative of white supremacist, but they're utilizing those words as weapons against content creators that were restoring power to men. One of the major goals of my platform, along
This is wild. In the statement where you are saying you're not a male supremacist, you are saying your channel is about restoring power to men. Girl, wait, what? So you were correctly. Maybe your ranking was wrong. Maybe your ranking was wrong. But in this video, this is wild. Like, this is actually kind of wild. In the video that you were saying you're not a male supremacist, you were telling us that your channel is about restoring power to men. Go. Go. Yo, this man said, I am not a male supremacist. My channel is about restoring power, societal power to men. But I am not a male supremacist channel. Okay, so you just confessed. In my mind, this is a whole confession. He's not mad he's on it. He's mad that he's ranked second on it. That gotta be. That has to be why he's mad. Because this is so dumb. Why would you the Department of Homeland Security has funded a non-governmental organization that determined that you were number 2 on the male supremacy list to watch out for, and that they need to protect the whole society from you because you're influencing men to behave poorly when it comes to women. Got it. Your response is that you are not a male supremacist. All you are trying to do is restore societal power back to men. Girl, wait. Where? mm, 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 mm. This ain't right. The fact is, he's saying that Pearly Things is much worse than him, forgetting that he actually collaborated a lot with Pearly Things, agreed with Pearly Things, and they were friends making content together. They fell out because of Pearly Things being KK. Look, allegedly, Pearly Things is up there with the alt-rights and them, is saying that, and the only reason I'm saying that, I'm not saying she is a KKK member. I am saying that for me, it sounds like that when you're saying slavery was embellished. So this is not defamation. I have to explain. I am not saying she's actually a part of the KKK. I am saying a person who says slavery was embellished is very close to the KKK thinking, girl. So she's not KKK member, but her thinking about slavery being embellished is KKK thinking. I hope I clarified that, because I can't do a lawsuit right now. I mean, I can, because I need to do some discovery.
along with having a critical discussion of understanding the nature of both men and women, is to give men the information to live a joyous life. Provide them information in regards to the inadequacies of the family court system. Provide them information that tells them that they are in a patriarchal regime and should feel bad for being a man because of that. To provide them with the
Don't this sound like a white man crying and whining about how society is getting too black? This, this is so wild. Not a white man, mind you, a racist white person, not just a random, just FYI. Don't want to confuse my language here. But the fact that he's up here whining and crying about the court system where most of the judges are men is wild. The laws that were written by mostly men in their minds just sound unhinged. Yeah, look at this. Look at this. Look at this. This is a screenshot. This is a Kodak moment. A Kodak moment. I'm satisfied. I think I overlooked that part.
Correct information that no, your masculinity is not toxic by trade, but there are biological factors and reasonings to the way that you conduct yourself and a woman's response to that. And to think that there's government agencies that are funding hiding this information from you is sickening. But nevertheless, I'm going to attempt in good faith to review their report and offer my thoughts. Without further ado, now before we get started with reviewing this case study, here is my call to action for all of you, because this report is proof that I am being targeted. And although I have faith that YouTube isn't as or can look at reports like this and I'm gone, demonetize the world. We're going to focus on 4 main pillars of growth: your financial fitness, health and wellness, active.
All right, I'm doing his advertisement for him. He's telling people to go to his website because he's going to teach men about fitness and finance. All the things that Fresh and Fit claimed they were going to teach men, but no one is going to go to his dusty platform because all they want to hear is about women, and he knows this. He's even going to talk about how he gets people to watch his channel through the thumbnail and the title. So, like, he knows. He knows ain't nobody trying to hear about fitness and finance from a... from him. Let's just leave it at from him. People keep calling this man a dweeb. Isn't he like tall and fit? I don't know anything about this man. People are like, oh my god, you're cocked eyed, your top lip don't move from your your teeth, you look a mess, you look like an incel. So we are not about to come and listen to you talk about fitness and finance. What you can do is talk about women. We don't care. Anyone can talk about women and drag them and we'll show up. But we are not about to come sit there and listen to a dweeb give us fitness and finance lesson. Not my words, other people's words. So like I feel bad for him. He might just actually want to teach people about fitness and finance, except he don't look like the fitness and finance type of person. You know? Yeah, period. Let's hear the mediocre man continue.
Diverting hate, misogynistic extremism, the manosphere, and mainstream social media. Let's just go down. So you'll see even down here, they have in the footer that this is in fact funded by the U.S. Department of Homeland Security. But let's just continue to go down. So you'll see here, this is, I guess, their mission statement. We exist to create a world where all people can be safe from misogyny. Now, what's interesting about this is that they're called diverting hate, but they only focus on one side of the coin. They don't focus on misandry. Their focus is purely on men. And I wonder what
they're talking about hate online that could result in people being harmed physically. Y'all talking about this misandry. Are women out here unaliving men? The rate at which women are being unalived, particularly in the Black community, is staggering. To the rate we are now calling it Black femicide. The fact that you are thinking, oh, the Department of Homeland Security should be funding research on misandry is wild. What is the like? I just want to interview these people because I actually want to know what they think. Like, do they actually believe what they're doing is righteous? I don't know if they believe what they're doing is righteous. I think they're actually grifting. For a while, I thought maybe some of these people who have been hurt, and people say he seemed like the type to have gone through life where women just did not engage with him because he looked soft, dweeby, cock-eyed, glasses, lip, all of that, right? And so, like, not my analysis, right? My analysis of him is like he's a regular-looking guy, right? That someone would be happy to be with. I don't know who, but someone would be happy to be with. I see nothing wrong with this man physically, and so some people think that he's the type to like just have experienced an unfortunate life. The issue though is for a long time I just assumed there's a lot of people with a lot of pain online trying to kind of navigate their pain. Now I'm thinking there's a lot of people who are just grifting and they know that what they're doing is harmful. And that's something that I don't quite understand. I don't understand how you can know something is harmful and continue to push it. So I hope that I'm wrong in that I hope they think that what they're doing is wrong, right? And if you can prove to them that what they're doing is wrong, then they'll stop it. But I don't know if that's true. And I don't think people who have financial motives will stop what they're doing if they're getting a reward financially for what they're doing, even after they found out what they're doing is wrong. I know this because there's a content creator online that I lost a ton of respect for, because I went out of my way to kind of disprove the way in which this person was interpreting stats. And they did absolutely nothing in response, like nothing. And I know that my research was solid and theirs wasn't because I used their research and I actually read it and it said the opposite of at least one very specific part, the opposite of what they said. And it kind of broke my heart a little because in my thought process, I thought this person would have edited the video, put a note on the video, or come and speak to me about it as they indicated that they would. And it is heartbreaking to know that these people actually, it feels like these people don't care about accuracy, about being right and doing the right thing. And that is sad. Like, that's actually kind of sad. Um, and I know a lot of people here didn't like this content creator. I did. He stood up to someone that I respected. I didn't agree with him, but I love the fact that I saw the person in this way standing up to another person, a content creator, in a way that no other content creator like him stood up to the other person. And so I respected that. Um, and I actually wanted to continue to respect him even when my channel didn't like him. But it's harder now. It is harder. It is harder. Please don't put a name in here. I will not confirm or deny a name, but I mean it's quite obvious what I'm talking about. But on this, I'm not gonna put an at because of things happening behind the scenes. Timothy is a former geek who had a glow up. True Revenge of the Nerds episode. That's what it's giving, actually. This one. Mind you, this is actually true. If I did a video and no matter how big it got, even if I don't want to take it down, I would do a correction. If you correct me on something that I did, I am going to do a correct. I'm going to do an update. I'm going to put a note. I'm going to do something to show that I was wrong. Even if I don't want to take the entire video down. Anyway, I'm going to continue. More and more I'm seeing that these people don't want to be corrected. Maybe it's still about their feelings and they do want to be validated in some ways because their feelings are valid, right? This one said that he grew up with a single dad. And I don't know what that kind of trauma of like your mom not wanting you or your mom not being there, for whatever reason your mom wasn't there. I don't know what that does to a child. So, yeah.
Why that is. I wonder how many different organizations up under the Department of Homeland Security are focused or funding organizations that try to dissemble misandry. It's funny how that happens, and no wonder you get the rise of content creators such as Sprinkle Sprinkle, which teaches women how to commit prenup fraud on men that want to marry them.
When you talk about the loopholes of prenups, can you maybe give a broad example? Yes. Be on drugs or alcohol when you sign. Sorry. And have a prescription for whatever drugs you're on, not illegal drugs, but prescription drugs that alter your alter the way that you make decisions, and that way you can pull that up if you want your prenup null and void.
Or you get other women whose names shall not be named.
Okay, why would they fund something to study like misandry if this is the example you have? Like, if you are going to, like, I can show men misogynistic content that is causing actual harm. And it's about promoting violence against women, right? This right here, we can say, oh, this is bad. You should not engage in this kind of fraud. It's wrong, right? But the fact that this is the one you're using is wild to me. Like, that's actually wild. And it shows that the claim about misandrist content creator is not right. It is inaccurate, and he knows he has no leg to stand on. Now he's going to talk about Sinji.
That tell you to abort male fetuses for being male, some of the most sickest, deplorable shit that they're allowed to maintain with on their platforms. But I ask you, whatever on my platform has ever promoted the hate?
Okay, the using of sin to say there are women who talk about this. First of all, Sin came up and I disagreed with Sin. We had a debate, and like, I disagree with abort black male babies. Like, I have to put that out there always. But Sin got demonetized. Sin got demonetized. To sit up there and say, oh, Sin is allowed to do this and say this is wild, when she faced consequences for that statement. You haven't. You haven't. So to say, oh, these women are able to do and say whatever they want without any repercussion from YouTube is wild. It is a lie. It is a lie. A white lady did not like what Sin had to say. She reported it to YouTube, and there's a whole hullabaloo issue around it, right? So to sit up there and pretend like, oh, the system is just in favor of women, as if black women don't have to like actually fight to get their voices heard, is absolutely wild. It is wild. So the two examples you gave are not actual legitimate. Like, if that's what misandrist is, then there are platforms that do not engage in a way that allows it on there. You are wrong, and this is disgusting. Stand firm in the fact that you are misogynist and apparently a male supremacist, as articulated by a non-governmental organization funded by the Department of Homeland Security. That is absolutely wild. You should be ashamed of yourself. You should be ashamed. This is a moment that where you should sit and think, I have failed in life. I have. You have failed where your name is listed as a male supremacist by an NGO funded by the Department of Homeland Security, that you are in fact a part of causing harm to society at large. The fact that you're up here arguing and trying to sidestep the issue through a red herring there and a red herring there is absolutely wild. Sit in the fact that the US government funded NGO have found you to be a problem for society. That is absolutely wild. That is wild. That is wild. You are sitting there being named a male supremacist. You rank number 2 on a male supremacist chart, funded by the US government. How does that feel? It should feel real bad.
Eat.
Oh, Sin is here. Hey, Sin, welcome. I didn't see that you were here. And that's the only list that they have that's public facing. There are other watch lists that are inward facing, and it's just, ugh. Just, ugh. Like, you can motivate men without talking down to women. You can do it. You can do it. You can motivate men while talking to women. And the fact that I do feel, I hate this. I hate me sometimes. Like, I actually hate the way that like my brain works, in that like I do actually feel bad for them. Not all of them. Because if I were placed on a watch list funded by the Department of Homeland Security because I'm a male supremacist, I don't know, like that destroys pretty much any meaningful opportunities in the world. You know that, right? We do actually have to be very careful about how we engage. And the fact that everyone can look, most sane people can look at these people's platform in the manosphere generally and say, this is diabolical, this is disgusting, this is harmful. Like, that's literally understandable. Like I get it. I came on YouTube and I saw the manosphere and I was like, this is disgusting. Like everyone who is anyone with a brain cell can look at the manosphere and say, this is wrong. This is wrong. This is harmful. And it's not just harmful in the way that words are harmful, it's harmful in the fact that you create a society where men who believe this way cause actual harm and treat women as if they're objects. And you don't see a problem with that. You began by saying, I am not a male supremacist. Your very next statement is about how your channel is restoring power, societal power to men. Girl, wait. You don't understand what a male supremacist is. If you're saying you are not that, you just want to restore societal power back to men. I'm adding societal because that's the power you're giving them. That explains a lot now. Mommy abandonment issue. Yeah. Y'all stop saying I agree with EYE. These men have been on a watch list for years before they came out with these papers. You didn't hear it from. No, they have. 2.5 years ago, I came on here and I explained to them, y'all need to stop. Even the passport bros, I was like, y'all don't see where this is going? A society that actually cares about any kind of progress, even to the extent that we don't believe society actually cares about people. But even if they're pretending to care, is not going to allow this kind of language and verbiage to fester, right? Like, it's not going to allow this to happen. Misogyny and patriarchy hides its true intention by pretending that women aren't being treated like objects. To come out and say it so overtly removes the veil that is required for women's participation. I'm actually glad that you're doing it because I actually think more women should be full blown feminist. I am for a fully actualized woman who is like, girl, I don't need a man, but if I get one, I'll take it because I can do with one. But I don't need you to survive. Pull back the curtain. So there's a part of me that's glad that these men are talking, but they're not even talking in the way that explains how patriarchy affects them negatively. They're too preoccupied in subjecting women to their control to think about the rigid rules around patriarchy and manhood that a lot of us can't actually live up to, including the providing bit, right? Instead of really thinking about what it means to be a man in society and whether or not they should agree and live up to the ideals of Western patriarchy, they're worried about women and whether or not women are going to be submissive to them. Submissive to you for what reason? Submissive. Anyway, at the time I bring up submission, I'm reminded of women online talking about they're looking for a man to submit to, and that just kills the feminist in me. So I'm just going to move on from this. These men have been on. Oh, I read this. Thank you, Bullet Magna. O'Shea Duke Jackson should be on the list too. They probably took one look at O'Shea and decided not to engage. I said I wouldn't do that again, and it just kind of came out. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. I did not mean that. I did not mean that. That is wrong. That is wrong. Yeah, feminism actually makes men life easier.
For women. Go back through my catalog and, in fact, look down in my comment section right now, the people in there that cannot believe that I was put number 2 of 10. But anyway, let me just get back down into the case study. So anyway, the first thing that I wanted to touch on was the executive summary of this report. And I'll go over this. The purpose of the report. This report serves as a crucial examination of the multifaceted challenges arising from the manosphere's influence on online platforms. Now, I find it interesting that they call out the manosphere, something that I said that I am not a part of 3+ years ago. But the problem is that if you have a majority male audience and you talk about the dating struggles today, identifying behavior or toxicity issues with the modern women of today, while at the same time promoting self-development to the people that watch you, they just place you in here. But I mean,
No, you can come out. This is so dumb. Like, I don't know if he's actually being obtuse here or he's just trying to like lie to his audience. The reason is not because you just give advice around women. The reason is because you degrade women. You talk about the modern women. You drag the ideas around feminism. They actually list 15 things that content creators that they looked at did, and you did all of them things. At one point or another, you did all of them things. So to sit up here and say, oh, they just placed me in it. No, you were in it. You had to come out and say you were not a part of the manosphere, which meant your content was a part of the manosphere. You saying you are not a part of the manosphere without changing your content that placed you directly in the manosphere 3+ years ago means that you have not changed. You're still a part of the manosphere. What do you mean? Here's the thing. This is such a dumb take. Like, how do they put me in the manosphere? Why did you feel the need to come out and say you weren't a part of the manosphere? Explain to us why you thought you needed to come out and say, I am not a part of the manosphere. Got it. Because you were a part of it. Okay. Let's say you came out and officially denounced the manosphere. You are no longer a part of the manosphere. At any point, were you inducted into the manosphere? No, it was because of your content that you were part of the manosphere. Got it. When you said you were coming out of the manosphere, we got it, heard it loud and clear. Did you change anything about your content? No, you didn't. You are still a part of the manosphere. I don't know what the fact that you thought you had to come out here and say I'm not a part of the manosphere is indicative of the fact that your content places you squarely in the manosphere. That's why you felt the need to come out here and say, I'm not a part of the manosphere. Now, when you say you're leaving the manosphere, you're not a part of the manosphere, did anything change about your content? No, it didn't change. Girl, if you don't go sit somewhere with your foolishness, oh, they placed me in the manosphere, even though 3 years ago I said I'm no longer a part of it. And what about it? You changed nothing about your content. Absolutely nothing about your content. You change nothing about your content. Imagine me, MTR, thinking this report is the last. He's like, wait, I said I'm not a part of the manosphere. Why am I here? I disagree with the. You know what? Let me leave. I'm gonna leave this alone. Y'all working at this think tank. I am ready now. I know I previously wasn't, and I was. The thing is, I was annoyed initially because I thought I hate the fact that the person who I was talking to, who was engaging in research on the manosphere, um, they weren't black, but they seemed to be prioritizing black men, content creators. And it bothered me because it felt wrong in that, like, the black men were taking something from white men. They were being louder and more disrespectful about it. So that much is true. However, it felt like they were positioning black men as the manosphere, as the male supremacist in the way that people think about white supremacists. And I felt really disgusted by this. And so I stepped away. I was like, no, absolutely not. And I'm trying to think how to. I came online and I was trying to get my Discord to find that video with me, and we couldn't find the initial statement. But I remember talking about it, and I, in some ways, was attempting to warn these men that, like, you are going to become the face of this. You are going to be dragged. Thankfully, this one sprinkled in white people too. But it's like, how do you not understand? Like, most of this stuff is cyclical. Like, you can look at history to see what is going to happen. And the fact that y'all sit up here and don't even think about kind of what it is that you're creating and how you're engaging in either helping or hurting a community is wild to me. The conversation, the conversation that you all are having online is in fact harmful. Oh, people are saying they remember. All right, thank you. Because like I felt like I was going insane. Like I might have dreamt it and didn't come out here and say it. Because like the Discord and I, we were looking for it, but we couldn't find it. We found points where I referenced the FBI looking into this, but I can't find the actual video where I sat for a moment to explain it, and I felt bad because on one hand, it's like obviously this is gonna happen. Like obviously this is gonna happen, and the point at which you're making money, a lot of people don't really care. They're like, "Oh, I'm just making money. I don't, whatever." Right? But like, you don't think like. Let me be real honest right now. There are times after the live stream where I pick up my journal and I note things that I said that I regret, or I engage it with myself. And I'm like really saddened because I don't actually know the impact of what I'm doing sometimes. Like, I have never come online and said, I know this is wrong, but I'm going to do it. Even if I've been wrong, it is because I did know I was wrong at the time. I have never intentionally tried to harm someone. And the fact that these people refuse to acknowledge the kind of harm that they are perpetuating in a community, in this community, the Black community, is nasty to me. Like, it is so disgusting and diabolical when you sit up there and find all the faults with Black women and you lean into stereotypes around Black womanhood and you engage in the degradation, the lack of protection, you open the most vulnerable groups among us and our community to be chastised and attacked by other people. There is no form of protection, there is no care, even in terms of, I'm not talking about physical protection, I'm talking about a sense that we are on one accord. This is why the professor from Princeton, when Vlad attacked her, and I saw so many people, Black men and women alike, dragging Vlad, like that made me feel good because it felt like when we think about the structure that is social media, we for the first time have control over the perception of ourselves. We have control in a lot of ways over the media, and we are engaging in a way that like, and I'm not saying I'm perfect at this, right? Because I get annoyed too, but like it feels like we're wasting an opportunity to show them who we are. And by them, I mean society at large, not one specific group. And every chance we get to show that we can be better and show that we can be care, we can show care and be thoughtful and engage in meaningful discussion, we just throw it away for a quick buck. Because some group of guys have issues with their mothers, some group of guys have issues with women, and we lean so heavily into that that we disregard the actual work we could be doing. Like, you could teach some of these people to read, you could teach some of these people how to work out at the gym. You could teach them how to dress. You could teach them how to fill out a job application. You could teach them how to get a job. Like, we could actually be engaging in social media in a useful way. Instead, we decide to sit all day talk. Not we, because I don't do this. Sit all day talking about women and they're here weaving nails. We talk about Black women weave. We talk about their makeup. We talk about their nails. Like, girl, at some point, you're going to have to look at yourself. When we're costing the government $50 billion, I don't think we have the space to talk. When the leading cause of death for a black man ages 1 to 44 is another black man, we don't have the space to talk. Homicide. And you know what? I'm going to stop. Because, like, the leading cause of death, like, we are. I want to talk about black womanhood and children and even black men and what is causing the issue, but it feels like an intentional read, and I'm not trying to like read these people or like drag right now. It's we have a lot of work to do, and the fact that we're ignoring all the work we have to do looking at black women who have been steadily attempting and succeeding in changing or at least adding to their global image is wild. When people are like, oh, this is not an accurate depiction of the stat. It don't matter. When people say who is the most educated group, black women comes to mind, the most entrepreneurial black women come to mind, the black backbone of the black community, black women come to mind. Like, there are so many facets positive that is in alignment with black women because of the work that they're doing. It's wild. And us, on the other hand, we haven't made a dent in kind of reshaping our image. And maybe that's not important, but it should be. It should be. It should be.
Content piece after content piece, because truthfully, and I've said this, that it is hard for me to be a part of something where I cannot control the brand, whether it's Manosphere, whether it's Red Pill, but I've said for years now that this content comes from me. Now, is there some RP influence? I would agree with that, but let's move on. Its purpose is to provide actionable insights, foster ethical practices, and propose effective interventions to address the propagation of misogynistic narratives and extremist viewpoints. Pay attention. By presenting a comprehensive, is not comprehensive, let me tell you, analysis, the report aims to equip practitioners, men's community, and well-being organizations, policymakers, and VLOPs with the knowledge needed to counteract the destructive effects of normalized violence within the manosphere. Really? Normalized violence. You know, the first thing that I thought about when I thought about this term normalized violence is I thought back to the case of that woman that claimed that she was hit in the face with the brick. And she would often describe that anyone who didn't believe her as being violent against her. By the way, GoFundMe.
That is not what normalized violence is. I don't know if you're too. I don't know why you're doing this. When they talk about normalized violence, they're talking about an atmosphere that makes a thing, in this case, violence, normal and acceptable. You and your language around black womanhood and what they do and black manhood normalizes violence not only in terms of rhetoric, but actually in terms of the culture and how people engage with women. I don't know why you're pretending to not know this. And yes, a woman can in fact lie about something, and that can be wrong, and that should be addressed. Someone like myself will address something like that. The fact is, you can address something like that, but you don't actually engage in any meaningful way about helping the community outside of speaking down about women and objectifying them. That is what you do. And you will admit it shortly when it comes to your thumbnail and the language you use. You're going to admit it. So to sit up here and say, oh, I don't know what normalized violence is wild. You do it. Someone is telling me the always silence and violence. Girl, the way I've practiced every single day, and sometimes I come up here and I say violence. It's when I say violence, it sounds very harsh as I say it. So it's very difficult for me to like correct that. Are you sorry? Yep.
Ended up taking down her page where she earned almost $40,000 off of a fraud, off of a lie. And apparently holding those people accountable is seen as violence.
What do you mean? She lost the money she gained. She's now facing some kind of charges. The truth is, she is being held accountable. Like, you brought up every woman you seem to bring up about like all the foolishness, they're being held accountable in some way or another.
Normalize violence. Meanwhile, I've uploaded content on this channel that talks about men. Do not engage with violence. Stay.
Ah, violence is harsh, though. You are correct. It is harsh, and maybe I should feel it harsh. I just don't like to say the word. Like when I say violence, it just sounds so it's not something I can continuously do. But I know what you mean. I know what you mean, and I am sorry.
Away from violence. The seriousness of violence or putting yourself or reacting to situations where you're leveraging your emotions instead of responding logically with frame and stoicism to those very same situations. Shit, focusing on the black community, I think most of the issue with the men is because of the single parent epidemic. They have not seen fathers, strong fathers, masculine fathers demonstrate themselves effectively and instead have watched.
Girl, that's the problem. That's the problem for you. The issue for you is if you believe these masculine, strong, alpha male fathers, these daddies, are what's missing, then tell men how to be daddies and not to abandon their children. The mistakes that y'all play too much. Yeah, he's yelling. I think he's yelling because he's passionate, and I would be scared. I would be real scared. Like I'm not even mad at him for being mad. I'm not mad at him for being mad because I would be scared.
The emotionality of their mothers, who then utilize that emotion to prey on those within their same communities. I've always maintained the importance of a two-parent household, that you need the mother as well as the father. I push for two-parent households. Do y'all? Or are you on the side of single mothers can act as fathers, knowing damn well that a woman cannot turn a boy into a man? But the lesson.
And you don't see how that talking point is problematic. A woman can't turn a boy into a man. Y'all can believe this if you want. What? What? Stop the track. Let me state facts. I told you give me a minute and I'll be right back. Why you change your what? Why would you do this? Why would you? Why me, Lord? Why would you change to this? Women are oppressing men with their emotions. It's nasty work. It's nasty work.
Lessons that I've learned from my single father have taught me lessons that have kept me out of drugs, out of the court system, graduating post-secondary from a top 30 MBA school, and then transitioning all of my knowledge to mentorship to these young men so that they can make better choices within their life. But is that what you guys are going to report on? Or this normalization of violence, which again, I've never pushed. By the way, when they say VLOPs or very large online platforms, I think what they're saying there is the YouTubes, the Facebooks, the Twitters. They're pressuring the social media platforms to take them seriously.
The fact that he just listed his accomplishment as if they are significant is absolutely wild. That should be the normal. Like, that's like me coming up here and say, I didn't go to jail. I went to college. I got a job. Yes, here's a cookie. And what about it? Like, girl, that should be the. Girl, listen. You want to know something really sad? I know a lot of men who grew up in single mother home, like a lot. And this is not statistically significant. This is anecdotal. Who grew up with only their mothers and did go to school, didn't go to prison, and did in fact get a job. They don't get cookies for it. Like nobody like people around just like, okay, I'll be girl, period. Like, "Oh, girl, period. Cool, cute. You got a job. Good for you." Like he's talking like this is something exceptional. Like this is wild to me. Like, why is he mad? I mean, not why is he mad. He should be mad. A woman can turn a boy into a man, but Achan can make a child by himself. LOL. Not only that, they're like women can turn. Then where are these men? A woman did not create the child by himself, by herself. So like a woman, it's the single mother's fault. You don't see how dumb that is? That's not accountability. That is called blame. If you really think about the fact that they are single mothers, it means that the dad is nowhere there. So to be blaming, these are the same men who say black men are the most active fathers, CC, the CDC, right? The fact that you will sit up here and say the single moms are the problem without any regard for the men who are no longer there is wild. Oh, she should have chosen better. He should have been better. It is like, why would you sleep with a thug? Sir, the child is here. That quote unquote thug has a responsibility, and you calling him a thug doesn't change the fact that he's failing in his responsibility. And to say and to think that only quote unquote thugs are the ones who are relieving themselves of their duty to be a father is absolutely wild. Like the fact that you completely ignore the men in the situation where there's a single mother is wild to me. And I would want to debate this. Oh, you should have chosen better. Girl, no, that man should have been better. It is quite simple. And instead of telling women to choose better, how about telling men to be better so that when women choose, they don't have to try to become Inspector Gadget, trying to search for clues as to whether or not this man is going to be a good man or if this man is going to change ultimately after she's been impregnated. Girl, what do you mean? Like the fact that y'all are sitting up here, oh my God, you should have chosen better. No, you should be talking to men about how to be better. The child is already here. You need to figure out how men can show up for the children in the community. Sitting up here like, oh my God, you should. No, y'all want to punish women, and you will do anything to punish women, even including disregarding a child who is in need of help. Like, just ew. And that's the fundamental flaw, by the way, with their talking point is that these single mothers need to be punished. But what you're doing is not punishing just the mother, right? You are ignoring the child. When you say, oh, why are men having to pay child support? Because there's a child who needs support. Men have to pay child support because there is a child who needs the support. That is the least you can do after you've helped created a life. Oh, I didn't want the child. Well, you should have thought about that, shouldn't you? You should have thought about that before you engaged. The fact that these men are sitting up here pretending like they're being oppressed by single mothers and child support is wow. Just don't have children that you don't want to care for. Like it's not even that difficult. This man is up here saying he doesn't have children. So you can go almost 40. You can be almost 40 without children. Men can do it, apparently. One thing media tutorial gonna do is backpedal and make it look like doubling down, just like with the Pearl things fallout, right? Like, oh my God, Pearl thing should be higher than me. She's actually misogynistic. I am not. You and her were friends making the same content. What do you mean? You were on her podcast while she was being misogynistic, co-signing her. Then you brought her to your platform and you engage in the same kind of rhetoric. What she does, you do. If it would be different, mind you, if he was up there arguing with Pearly things, right? Like, if you come on my platform and I disagree with you, I am going to make it overt and I'm going to make it clear where I disagree with you. There is no misconception, right? You can say, oh, Themis, you let this or you let that. You can never do it because I'm going to disagree where I disagree. The fact that you sat up there, not only did you collaborate, y'all had a dating show, y'all were probably dating. I don't know. I'm just making things up. Don't at me for that. And then you had her on your platform. You were co-signing her. Then you're like, oh, why am I below? Why is Pearly Things below me? Get away. Pearly Things is demonetized. Okay, dude. Dude, why continue
seriously to control what they allow on their platforms. Meanwhile, I've never said this on my platform before, but guys, I've never received a community guideline strike at all, because those that in charge that look at the content, they know that there's not hate that comes from my words on this platform right here. So anyway, there's a call to action, all these other sections like that. But here's what I wanted to get into next, which is the male supremacy scale, a YouTube case study. Now, once you guys see the ridiculousness of how they're choosing to utilize the information on the scale, you will understand my passion. Together with the Polarization and Extremism Research Innovation Lab, acronym PARO, at American University, which I believe is in DC, we conducted a case study to investigate the viability of executing effective diversion campaigns. Yes, you read that correct. Effective diversion campaigns aimed at a range of male supremacist YouTube influencers who are prominent within the Manosphere. So essentially, they're taking tax dollars and they're reinvesting that into running ad campaigns on my videos that after you watch one of my videos, you'll see one of their approved vendors. But what is the scale that they're using to determine how naughty that we are? Well, the scale was developed as a tool to understand, define, and quantify the phenomenon of contemporary male supremacy, specifically in the context of online platforms. The male supremacy scale is a 15-point scale to measure male supremacy broken into 3 subscales: anti-feminism, female dishonesty in relationships, and women like alphas, with 5 sub-bullets underneath each point. Now, they actually go through and describe each of these 3 buckets. I'll read the first one. Anti-feminism explores how the participant feels about feminism and feminists in general. So by nature of this study, they're essentially saying, if you do not agree with feminists or those within the feminist movement, you are bad. As if
He's so dumb. That is actually not what it says. It puts into bucket the talking points that are toxic. One of the talking points is aimed at feminism. They're saying after reviewing kind of a general idea around what these men are saying, when you want to create the male supremacist scale, one of the things that these people do is specifically attack feminism. They're not saying if you attack feminism, you are bad and thus male supremacists. They're saying these men use an attack on feminism as an approach to kind of dehumanize women and elevate men. He's literally not even understanding what the buckets are, right? They're not saying that you're against feminism mean you're a male supremacist, which I probably think they should say. They're saying that these group of men use talking points around feminism and attacking feminism in very specific ways, and we're going to outline how they do it. And this is how you can identify these content creators. And this is how we measure what they're doing, because we created this bucket based on what they're saying about feminism. It is not actually saying, mind you, that feminism and anti-feminism is what creates sort of male supremacy. Rather, it is saying these groups of men, and we are breaking down their language in very specific ways, and here is a specific way in which we're breaking down the language. The fact that he can understand that, or I don't think he's intentionally misunderstanding. I can understand the confusion there, but like, you went to college, girl. I'm not giving you a pass on that. I'm not being able to understand what is happening here. You should. You should. Nah, you should. They're using your language to break down subsections. They're using your language to create a standard. They're not saying this itself is bad. They're talking about how you all engage and how the language is shaped, what y'all talk about.
there's not destructive messages that are pushed because of feminist rhetoric and ideology. See, I agree with the early starts of feminism that wanted equality of opportunity. If I had a daughter, I would want her to be all that she can be, to have the same opportunities as her male counterparts. I believe and I ride for this degree of feminism, but I do not agree and ride for what it's turned into. This idea that you're walking around oppressed by men is absolutely insane in modern times today. The idea that you have any right.
The fact that you think that you can be a feminist who wants equality of the sexes for your daughter while saying there's no oppression is wow. So you're not. You don't believe you believe your daughter would have full rights now, so there's no reason to engage in this. And you know that's not true. You know that when it comes to reproduction, for example, that women's bodies it's being legislated in a way that men are not. That is the most obvious example of inequality in terms of how we legislate bodies, like actual physical bodies.
Within a society that a man does not have in Western society today is absolutely insane. I disagree with how sexual liberation is pushed to the masses, pushed to children, as if there's no consequences or byproducts to the damage that it is causing to not even just young boys, but to young girls in this thinking. I do not agree with the components of feminism that allows biologically born men to compete in women's sports. Watching these biological women get knocked the hell out at an MMA event is sickening. To entertain conversations of children transitioning their gender on the backs of feminist rhetoric and ideology, to me, makes you an extremist, not me. For some reason, I feel as though these raging feminists were listening to Sexy Red's My Coochie Pink, My...
You want to know something funny? They're blaming feminists for this, where there are actual radical feminists who oppose everything that he just said. The fact that feminism as an umbrella is being pushed as this one-dimensional thing in his mind is wild. When there are black feminists and intersectional feminists, and then there are radical feminists who actually do not engage and do not agree with some of this stuff, is wild to me. I'm not saying right or wrong. It is just a weird way to defend yourself by saying, oh, I am not anti-feminist. These feminists are going too far. It doesn't matter. They're not telling you to be feminist. They're not saying because you're not feminist that you are male supremacist. That is not what is being said. They're saying you use feminism in your talking points as a way to attack women, and then they break that down into 5 subcategories. The fact that you don't understand how this research is being conducted is absolutely wild to me. This is so dumb and disgusting because I am assuming he understands. I don't think you go to college without doing a research methodology class. Like, I don't actually think that is possible, but I might be wrong. So the fact that he doesn't even understand how to read what is on the screen in front of him is wild. No one is telling you have to be feminist. That's not what it's saying. That is not what it's saying. So he just went into a meaningless spiel about feminism that has nothing to do with this. They're saying you all who are male supremacists use a talking point against women around feminism.
booty hole brown as they were crafting this pile of dog shit. But what they did is that they utilized a research technique, which is referred to as a 7-point Likert scale from strongly disagree to agree, where they asked participants to rate the content that they were looking at from what they've already predetermined to be correct, that anti-feminism is wrong. And if you rate them high, then they are a male supremacist. But what I found...
They didn't say anti-feminist is wrong, though I would strongly believe that they actually think it's wrong. That's not the issue. Like, I don't understand how you don't understand what's happening. Like, you're reading this and it feels like you don't understand how these categories were created for the kind of engagement. Now, you can disagree with it, but this is not how. Like, to talk about feminism broadly and talk about how they feminists push this and feminists push that is not the issue. You go to the subcategories around the language being used in the manosphere, and you can agree or disagree that these language should be used as barometers to test if you are a male supremacist. That's how you attack the argument. Say, this right here as an example, a subcategory of what men say in the manosphere around feminism is not indicative of male supremacy, because you don't sit up here and argue against feminism because they're not pushing or not pushing feminism. They might be pro or against feminists, but that's not the issue here. Like that, I just I don't like when people bastardize research, and like I don't think this is like great research. And I need to go into the methodology more before I can give a conclusion on whether or not I think this was done well. But like the fact that, and by going into the research, I mean I need to look at the male supremacist scale in more depth. But like the fact that he's arguing against feminism as opposed to what is being articulated here is like it is frustrating to me because he's not actually attacking the research. He's just like attacking feminism, which, okay, girl, period. That's a separate video.
Very interesting is that I have never seen a research study where they don't talk about the audience that they surveyed. Who took the damn surveys? Were the people that took it biased in nature? Was this a Likert scale giving to the authors and the researchers and the editors that created this case study? Great job conducting due diligence in your case studies, guys. You really did everything that you could have to remain unbiased. But if you guys want to see exactly what those categories and subcategories are, then here they are. And I will go over some of these just for the sake of time. But the first one at the top of anti-feminism, feminism is about hating men. I've never said this statement on my platform ever. What I have said is that it is problematic when you have.
This is the what. So when they say anti-feminist, they're saying these are the language under the anti-feminist subcategory that these men use. For example, feminism is about hating men. When you say that, you're mischaracterizing feminism, which is what they're pointing out in the manosphere. The second one is that modern society prioritizes women over men. This is anti-feminist language, and they're saying this is also inaccurate. Or even if it is accurate, it's talking about how men can get power. The fact that you went up there and talked about feminism and pushed back against feminism instead of the specific points that are being made and being tested is wild. Like, it's just disgusting to me. Like, I don't want to engage. Like, and you literally said that you hate the kind of feminism that is currently available. And the way that you use language just now to attack feminism is precisely what number one is talking about. So to say that you don't do it on your platform is wild when you just engaged in it.
For example, I got a friend of mine who was born in Saudi Arabia, grew up in an actual patriarchal regime, moved over to America when she was a teenager, and within her maturing as a young woman has latched on to this westernized modern ideals of feminism and actively complains as if she's in a society where men oppress her. But if you ask her specific examples of this oppression, she cannot give you any. But if you ask her, what laws in society do men have that benefit them, that women have that do not benefit them, she can't answer them. And actually, now I think about it, I uploaded content this very week where an interviewer were asking women on a street.
Here is an example. A man, generally, the fact that men walk away and leave their children at a higher rate and women have to be stuck with them, and if women leave, they will get in prison is wild. But they have to like go through a very specific kind of process. The thing though is, and this is the interesting thing, we literally just talked about Roe v. Wade. And I will always bring that up. I will always bring that up.
If you were alone in the woods, would you rather choose a bear or a man to be there with? And more often than not, these women chose a bear. You have to consider the cultural narrative or propaganda within a society that allows educated people to choose a vicious animal over an adult man.
Yo, that beer versus men thing, I didn't realize it had them in such a chokehold, right? So there are two layers to this, and I'm very happy I discussed this with the Discord, because my initial thought was that women say they choose the beer over the man as a reference to kind of how violence from men have been enacted upon women, right? And so they can use the beer and use this as a metaphor for, like, I am choosing this very specific dangerous creature over a man as a way to articulate their feelings about the danger of men in society. In truth, what people don't talk about, and my Discord brought this up, is that when they switch the question to men, right, and say, would you rather your child be in the jungle with a bear or a man? A lot of them actually engage in the same kind of thinking that the women did about, like, no, I wouldn't want my child to be in the woods with a man, right? And then they started rationalizing this. So it is wild to me that they only kind of address it in the kind of most direct sense of women answering the question. However, my Discord informed me that some women actually thought about this, and being trapped in the woods does not mean you have to be face to face with the bear. And if you leave the bear alone, they probably will leave you alone, and you can run away from the bear. And if you're not engaging, right, you can be safe. I didn't really care too much about this until I realized, and someone pointed this out, that I don't want to say this. Someone said that the thought of being abused in very specific way by the man means that they would choose being attacked by a bear than have to live and continuously be with a man who continuously engage in a very specific way. And I didn't think about that initially, but when it was said to me, I realized that these kinds of abuse for a lot of women is worse than death. And I didn't think about that in this kind of overt way. This is again from the women in the chat. But instead of being mad that women would choose a beer over a man as a kind of thought exercise, right? Instead of being mad, how about talking to women about why? You are saying there is this society that the conception of manhood has to be so bad, blah, blah, blah. But is it like a conception that is far from reality? Are women being abused by men? Are women being unalived by men? Are women being hard by men? If true, is their reaction to this question seemingly dumb, or does it make sense that they would feel that it is better for them to be in proximity to a beer than a man who would continuously abuse them in a very specific way? I feel like this requires some kind of engagement, and I don't like the way that it is dismissed, because I think it is a more deep sort of philosophical thought process happening with these women who are asked this quote unquote very basic question. I think there's a lot of thought being added to the answer. And I didn't even realize how important the answer was to women until I started asking women in the Discord about it, and they explained to me in detail why. I won't repeat what they're saying, but they explained to me in detail why it is that they would prefer beer, even if that meant being unalived. The fact that he didn't understand the satire behind choosing the, yeah, I mean, for me it was the satire, right? But like for some women, there is a lot of thought into it. I read something coming out of India about what two men did to, you know what, I'm gonna leave that alone. No, they're good. I promise you, they thought about it. They don't need you to give them logic. They thought about it.
Rather be stuck in a forest with a man or a bear?
Man is scary. With a bear. Depends what man, but probably a bear. Well, 100% a bear, which is like terrifying to say, but definitely a bear. Some men are very scary out there. A bear.
I've personally grown up in a society watching genital mutilation being laughed at. I remember back in the 90s, that whole Lorena Bobbitt situation and how they made joke after joke over this man getting his genitals snipped off. I remember as a child watching daytime television shows that the titles of the shows were something to the effect of, "Does size matter?" Do you
Oh, you grew up in a society that has male genital mutilation, did you? Did you, though? Because we can talk about female genital mutilation. We can. You were upset that one guy had whatever snipped off and people made jokes. Let's talk about thousands and thousands and hundreds of thousands of women who are going through female genital mutilation. Intentionally, mind you, and I want to talk too specifically about this. You want to do it? You want to do it. Because, oh, they made fun of this one guy. That is horrible, mind you. Nothing good about that. But if you want to talk about genital mutilation, I am sorry, men and this one guy that experienced this one thing is not at the forefront of the conversation. I am so sorry. I am so sorry. Now, he moves, let's go back a little bit, because he moved from that to go into size. And the fact that he thinks women are the one causing insecurity in men about size is wild. He has not been listening to hip hop. He has not seen Drake. The fact that you think women are the one out here shaming men more generally about that perpetuate this idea. These men actually, the fact we talked about how I didn't understand why these men like to be fetishized by other groups of women and put themselves in this and present themselves in a way to be fetishized. The fact that during slavery, for example, black men were being I don't want to get flagged. There were things happening during and after slavery, even including lynching, that includes men, privates being cut off. It wasn't by women. The idea that black men are seen in very specific ways around quote unquote deviant in the bedroom is not because of black women. There is a white supremacist system that you need to also tackle. And that you can't measure up isn't the problem of black women. It is a stereotype about black manhood that we have perpetuated. And unfortunately, for some men who cannot meet these quote unquote standards, I feel bad for them, but like, we perpetuate it, we lean into it, we talk about it, we rap about it. Don't just sit up here talking about, oh, women talk about if size matter. Yeah, they do, because we continuously tell them to. And we brag about this and we rap about it. And so to blame women for feeling inadequate is wild after we say that men should feel inadequate because we have these demeasuring contests. And you feel inadequate because of a culture we created. What do you mean? Either you blame white supremacy or you blame us for perpetuating that culture. You can't blame women for agreeing to the thing that we put forward. You know how many women I hear say, I don't like dating app because they keep sending me unsolicited pictures? To pretend like men have been trying to push back against the narrative around valuing them through that is wild. We have not been trying to push back against that. We have leaned very deeply into it.
Lorena Bobbitt situation and how they made joke after joke over this man getting his genitals snipped off. I remember as a child watching daytime television shows that the titles of the shows were something to the effect of, "Does size matter?" Do you know what that does to the psyche of a young boy when you begin to establish that your value and your worth of your man is through your eggplant? But point me to the equality or the narratives in media that focus on women's genitalia.
The entire hip hop industry. You have to have all kinds of blinders on to not know that women and their bodies are up for question all over the internet about whether or not having a child does this or that to the no, I'm not doing this. I am not doing. You have to have on blinders in a way that is seriously opaque for you not to see that the entire industry, the beauty industry, the hip hop industry, the music industry generally, the laws, Christianity, organized religion is structured around the woman and her chastity. Like the fact that you're sitting here talking about, show me where women's body and their whatever is up for question. It's like, what, girl, society, what are you talking about? Like, what are you actually, like, what is, it has to, it is absolutely insane for him to be sitting up here thinking that men's body and their body parts are more criticized and scrutinized than women. That is wild. That is a wild. That is a wild claim to make. Yeah, sure, you can feel bad if you don't have whatever and you feel inadequate as a man because it's not whatever. Like, right? But like, that's you feeling bad. Like women are literally being shamed day in and day out about their bodies and everything. Like let a woman have a child and everyone has all these assumptions about who she is, what she can do, what she did, what she won't do. Like, what do you mean? Have you heard the music about women? Have you ever read the Bible? Do you understand that there were like purity laws in place? Yo, this is wild. Like for him to make this statement, he must be really deep in his feelings and not actually thinking critically at all.
And to think that all of that content, and obviously much, much more, that I don't have time within the length of this video to go through, is funded by mainstream media, begins to help you understand the psyche of why a Saudi Arabia-born woman that, if she stayed there at the time, would have not had the opportunity to even drive a car, come over here and complain about some made-up shit because she's contracted the feminist mind virus. And because of that, is less likely to have a good, established relationship.
So you can acknowledge that in certain parts of the world, women are faring worse than they are in the US. Great observation. It does not mean that they are equal to men or treated well in the US. It just means in your mind they're treated better than other places. Are you saying she should be grateful and not see any other issue? Girl, stop talking. Not, I'm talking to him.
Relationship with a man where she can create a two-parent household. Oh,
thank you. Thank you. He said the feminist mind virus, and then he doesn't understand why his language gets categorized under the anti. I hate it so much. You gonna call it the feminist mind virus, and then you don't understand why you got put under there. At least just own the fact that you should be under there. Just own the fact that you should be under there, and then disagree with something else, girl. Ain't nobody got time for you and your foolishness.
by the way, she's a single mother. There's active conversations online of, do we need men? The men will respond, yes. The women will respond, eh. Meanwhile, men have risked their lives to build the infrastructure and to innovate on so many products that will allow the comfort of our societies to continue to exist.
Girl, you have a podcast. You are not a part of the men that build no kind of infrastructure. So that's the first thing. The second thing, if you want to talk about risking life, talk about bringing life into this world. Because y'all sit up there talking about men risk their life to build, women risk their life. to bring life into the world. The fact that y'all sit up here and don't know how to quantify the kind of risk that women take in even getting pregnant is wild. And women also risk their life to build the infrastructure. So women are risking their lives in ways that men are risking their life, and in other ways that men can't risk their life. Sitting up here looking like, oh my God, I see the eye thing now, girl. I can't get over the eye thing. Y'all dead wrong for this. Y'all are absolutely dead wrong for this.
Exist. Modern society prioritizes women over men. Listen, I don't believe I've ever said this statement specifically, but there are certain ways where women are in fact prioritized over men. There is a reason why most homeless people are men. There is a
How are you going to sit there and point out how men build the system, men build the system? If these men prioritize women's shelter over men, isn't this a men doing? Like, how are you like mad at like the system that you just said men create? Now you're saying men are disadvantaged by the same system you say men create. Like, how are you? He literally just sat here. Oh my God. I need to calm down. You sat here and argued that women have the comfort that men risk their life to create a system. And in that system, you're saying women are being prioritized because men are giving women shelter, right? Ignore the fact that it's actual political activism on the woman's part and women contributing to building shelters for women, right? And there are male shelters. Why aren't these men who built the system not creating avenues for men to go rest their head at night? By the way, I'm coming out with a video on homelessness because I think it's an issue that we do need to address. That video is incoming. It's in the editing phase. I recorded all the parts that needs to be recorded, and I'm editing it now. So just putting that out there, that will be out, and we will have a deep discussion on homelessness because I do actually think for men and women, I don't think anyone should be homeless and no anyone should be experiencing homelessness, but that's a separate topic for a separate day. Right now we're talking about this man who is talking about how men build a system and men created the comfort in the world, and then he's mad that men are homeless. Girl, you said men create the system. Go to your brothers. Let's go to our brothers and figure that out.
reason why most self-delete.
Like, how can you put yourself as part of the group that build the system and then separate yourself and like, oh, we are prioritize men, like we're prioritizing women and children with shelters. Like, if we have the control and you are mad because of what we did, you should be mad at us failing to do it well. It's not like women took over and they are the ones with power and they're conniving and they're making men homeless. Like, you gonna bend yourself into a pretzel to fit a narrative that doesn't work, and that is so annoying. You have no principle. You don't believe in your principles around men creating. Because if you thought men created and operated the system, then men's leniency towards women isn't a problem because men have the power in your mind. Unless you don't believe men have the power and you actually believe women have the power, but you don't want to say that because that don't make sense. Like, you complaining that men are actually helping women. Like, men are helping women. Men own the system. So if women have a place to stay in the system when they're experiencing homeless, it's because men gave it to them. You can't be mad that women have a place to stay because, like, in your mind, in your imagination, this is because of men. The truth, however, is more complicated than that. And women are deeply invested in political engagement to build a system that works for them and their children. And it is not perfect. It's not even close to being perfect. And a lot of women are experiencing homelessness, including the children, right? And men are also experiencing homelessness. How we fix that is a collective issue, but black men don't engage in the kind of political activism that black women engage in, and then they're upset when they don't get what they want, when you never articulate what you want. The time you get to talk about what you want, we saw a group of men in a barber shop with RFK Jr. talking about how they don't want to be paying child support. Girl, what do you mean? You got the chance to speak to not the potential president, but a man running for president as an independent, and you decided to cry and whine about child support. None of y'all brought up homelessness. So I don't want to hear it. I do want to hear it, but I will hear it on my terms. Because since y'all are not going to do it, I will do it, and I'll talk about homelessness. There is a case at the Supreme Court right now dealing with homelessness. And the decision the Supreme Court is going to make will have an impact across America to decide whether or not local governments can, in fact, criminalize sleeping outside and push these people who are facing homelessness out of the community and into other communities, and whether other communities can also engage the same way and keep pushing them out. What happens to a group of people who've been pushed from every community and have nowhere to sleep? And these governments don't have to have beds for these people to go to, homeless shelter for these people to go to. What the Supreme Court decides will ultimately determine the fate of a ton of people who are experiencing homelessness, upwards of 500,000 people. In Grand Pass, Oregon, that is where the case came out of. The fact that y'all are sitting up here hinting at homelessness but didn't actually engage in any meaningful work is annoying me. The fact that you dropped in there, oh, men are more homeless, you Googled that, but you never actually engage, you don't know anything about it, and the fact that you don't actually care except to use it as a talking point is wild. I have never heard this man talk about homelessness ever.
Athletes are men. There was a reason why most workplace deaths are men. If you were to go out on a street and ask men or women, hey,
there is a reason why most workplace death is men. I don't know what the reason is. Tell me what the reason is. I actually don't know what the reason. Tell us what the reason is and how that relates to a system that is against men. Tell me.
what are some of the issues facing women today? You can usually get a laundry list. If you ask these same people, what are some of the issues that men face today? You get a lot of crickets chirping. And
no, if you ask women what the issues facing women are, they'll give you a laundry list. I don't know why you would ask these women what are the issues facing men. How about you ask men what are the issues facing men? Because the last time I checked and the last time I asked, none of these men could answer any of these questions. Every time I ask a man, what is the issue on YouTube facing men, they talk about submission. They talk about women submitting. And when RFK Jr. asked a group of representatives of the Black community what these men were faced with and what they would want him to do, they wanted him to do away with child support. If they don't know, you tell us. The fact that you think it is a one-up to say these women know all the issues facing them, but they don't know the issue facing men. Yeah, because men don't know the issues facing them either. Men refuse to talk about the issues facing them. And one of those issues has to do with toxic masculinity, and y'all don't want to engage with that. So instead, you keep pushing these quote unquote masculine ideas and not seeing how it hurts you. And then you're mad at women for not also pushing that idea. Women will figure out what's facing them, and you figure out what's the problem is facing you. Because he can't even tell us what the problem is facing him. I can tell you one, employment for the first thing, and the second is probably prison industrial complex.
The background. Feminists are unattractive. My talking points are focused around unattractive behavior and the attitudes of...
Okay, so you said it. I've heard you talk about how the school and education for women... I'm not doing this. You're a liar. Just hurry up and talk.
Some of these modern day feminists are abhorrent. I just did a video last week where feminists on the show The View offered that men are useless.
So there's this clip going viral online of a dozen women being asked the following question: do we need men? Most answered very quickly, no. And only one said she thought women needed a man in their lives, only one. But when men were asked a similar question, do we need women? Most of them said yes. So why do you think that is?
Because men are useless. I mean, my husband, it takes a village of women to make sure that he's not emaciated, starving, and living in his own filth.
I need my man 3 to 4 times a week. And good for you guys. And then the rest of the time I need a wife. Because I've always said...
Yeah, because the value of a man in your life is only reduced down to what he can do inside of your box. The misandry here, the man hate here is so goddamn crazy. Now imagine a group of men sitting on a paddle talking about all I need my wife for is her insides. The cancel culture will come a knocking.
This totally differently in how I prep. Because broadly speaking...
You want to know something I really hate? The thing that I hate is that men will talk about the role of men in relationship and reduce it to nothing, right? And then when women confirms that the experience of men is that they add nothing to their life, after y'all are talking about, oh, the man role is to provide and protect. So not engage meaningfully, provide money and protect physically, and that is it. That's what they've reduced the role of the man to, right? And after you've included that and say masculinity, you're pushing the quote unquote masculine ideal. And when women are saying, you know what, in my experience, the men who come to me with this, I don't actually need them. Because, like, if you're not going to connect with me emotionally, talk about our feelings, listen to us, like, engage with me as a human being, then no, I don't need you. When women say this, then you're upset. I can understand why women talking like this would upset men, but only men like me who thinks that men have more to offer than just like, oh, I want sandwich and silence. That's the ideas that y'all are putting forward. So after you put the argument forward and then women are like, you know what? If y'all want me to give you S, sandwich, and silence, I don't need you because like all I'm doing is giving to you and you are not giving back to me in any meaningful way. And now you're mad. Maybe you should think about masculinity and being a man as more layered and thoughtful than, oh, men just operate this way, ha ha ha. Like, no. You can't be mad at women for accepting what you think men bring. You say this is what men bring, and now you're upset with women for saying, okay, if that's all you have, then I don't want it. Oh, it's misandrous. No, it's accepting what you've said.
I feel like men have proven largely useless. Like I think in the political moment, the people who are saying what needs to be said in my party, it's all women. The very few men, with the exception of Mike Pence and a few others, are saying what they need to. But in life, like I need my husband. I don't know if I need any other men, but he is irreplaceable.
But women have conversations about their feelings. Men talk about sports, cars, all that stuff.
I don't know. My husband talks about his feelings with his
Maybe he's gay.
Hold on, I gotta play that end part one more time.
Talk about sports, cars, all that stuff.
I don't know. My husband talks about his feelings with his
Maybe he's gay.
Maybe he's gay. Next. We have men.
So you're telling me that men aren't out here talking about how men are gay for talking about their feelings? Men are saying men are gay for eating banana the wrong way. Men are gay for cleaning. Men are gay for showering. Men are gay. The fact that y'all are sitting up here pretending like these women aren't just regurgitating what a man told them is wild to me. These are statements men have made. To sit up here and pretend like men don't set the culture for how women interpret what a good man, a masculine man is wild. I can't cut my nails because that's gay. I can't wash my hair because y'all don't play in my face. Do not play in my face. You can't be mad. The funny thing is, this would be right and righteous if he wasn't a part of the masculinity group, pushing, oh, men need to be masculine and hide their emotion and stoic and blah, blah, blah. If you weren't a part of that the manosphere pushing this idea, then yeah, you could drag them. I would be with you dragging them because this is absolutely wild to me. Hearing them speak about manhood this way and being a man this way is wild to me. However, you don't get to do that because you agree with them. You're just mad because they're weaponizing your talking points against men. And that's wild.
and self-deleting at a rate 5 times higher than their female counterparts. You talk about the importance of having community.
The reason is because of the toxic masculinity. Men don't share their emotions. They don't know how to talk about their feelings. There's a ton of psychological research and work coming out about how men are not communicating with people. They're not close to people. That they are unaliving themselves is unfortunate. But part of the reason is because we're isolated. We don't know how to connect with people. We don't know how to name our emotions, much less talk about our emotions. We call it gay when a man talks online about how he does not want a friend that he can talk to and can engage with and get a hug from. Y'all dragged him online when he came out and say that. And now y'all are mad when these women are talking about the very same thing that y'all talk about. Like, what do you mean? Like, I hate this so much. Like, men are unaliving themselves at a high rate. Yes, that is unfortunate. Let's talk about how we end that as men. Oh, you don't want to. You don't actually care. Natalie, you've been a member for 2 years. Thank you. Tater Tot said men are gay for having sex with women for pleasure instead of for. I saw that. I saw that girl. Look, look. Everything these men say is gay. Like, they literally make gay an ad hominem attack and they launch it at men who do anything that they deem to be not masculine, which is to be stoic and not show emotions and not engage meaningfully in conversation about anything. Oh, and 11 months and member for 11 months and counting. Thank you.
For women, but a man that expresses himself amongst his boys is now gay, but shaming them and their sexuality for talking amongst each other.
Don't be outraged. You do not get to be outraged. You need to be outraged at the men talking about this. You need to be outraged at men saying that men shouldn't be talking about their feelings amongst their bros. Because that's gay. You need to talk about that. You don't get to go to the secondary source of the information and be mad and pretend like you weren't all up in the primary source of this, talking about men don't share their feelings. Drag the men in the manosphere first for telling men to not share their feelings, and then you get to drag the women who copy the talking point. You don't get to go to the women and be mad at the women for accepting what men tell them about men. Men told women that a man is gay if he's talking about his feelings. Y'all did that. Y'all did that. They didn't just make it up. Y'all told them that.
Is a new low. This is on ABC, nationally televised to millions of people. Yes, this happened last.
Probably owned and operated by men. Probably owned and operated. The message was brought to you by men. Let me look up who owned ABC. Let me look up who owns ABC. It would be so surprising. It would be surprising if the American Broadcast Company is an American commercial broadcast. Oh, I know that. That don't matter. Property of Disney. Let's look at. Not Disney, girl. I don't have to look this up. The president. So look up. No, right? The people who created the board of directors, like, I wonder who is in the C-suite. C-suite. Period. Not a black woman up in here. I love that. I love that. Let me look up who is in the C-suite. They're not going to give me this information. I don't think this is going to be public. All right. They get the executive leader for Walt the Disney Company. Let's do it. Let's look at the executive leaders for Disney. Let's look at the executive leaders for Disney Channel because I am bored. This, this is the executive leadership for Disney, girl. The chief executive officer, the Walt Disney Company. The CEO. This is the CEO, girl. Wait, someone said not a black man to be found. Y'all play too much. True, there's none. There's Oh, this is a whole separate video. This is a whole separate video that I need to get into. Oh, here's one. There is the board of directors. For the board of directors, we have one black man. Thank you, Dita, for becoming a member. Great show, Big Dog. Keep fighting the fight. Real game comes from the street, not males crying about. Period. Period. Respect, Big Dog. The cult of the red pill. Shaking my head. Thank you. I appreciate the man mindset. I don't know if you are available. I don't know if we are available, but we're doing a men's panel on homelessness on the end of this month. Let me know if you could do that. Can the moderators drop a email in the chat? And if you are available, I would love to talk for you to join the men's panel at the end of this month. That's not our L. Someone said that's an L. The CEO is a man. For you to be sitting up there like, oh my God, they allowed this. The CEO is a man. That there is only one woman up here at the highest levels. There's only one right here. And period. It's a black woman. Period. But no, that is not an L. That is absolutely not an L.
Last week for a show that was aired on prime time TV. Meanwhile, I have never, ever in the history of my content ever said women are useless. By the way, researchers, go down into the content section. You're going to see lovely young women's faces as well that know what the hell that you guys are up to. They've been paying attention to this platform for years now. They know what my heart is and they know what I'm trying to do. For these women.
Oh, yeah. Sorry, Kenny. Yeah, for us. It is an L for us. We are not in the C-suite, guys. We're not in the C-suite. For all the men in the chat who would like to be a part of the men's panel, we're going to be discussing homelessness on the end of the month. There is the email. And for the women, I'm going to have Vanessa, if I can get this video out in time. We're going to discuss it also separately. So this is the email for men who want to talk about it.
Are sick of y'all biased ass bullshit as well. Little known fact as well, I have anywhere from 15% to 20% of women that actively watch my channel, which is probably more than any of the content creators that are on that list, of which I ranked number 2. Anyway, I can get into all of these, and this video is getting way too long, even for my own liking, so I'll just skip ahead. Well, wait a minute, before we move on. Women use feminism to gain an unfair advantage over men. This is why you get women and public figures such as Candace Owens that hate feminism, because it's not about equality anymore, at least. It's about achieving a victimhood status so you can maintain power. But this is what you're ranking me off of being a male supremacist.
It is what you use that conversation to do. The fact that he doesn't understand this is actually making me sad. Like, He doesn't understand what is happening and how they're being ranked. I disagree, mind you, with how he was ranked. I don't think he should be above Rolo Tomasi. I don't think he should be above Fresh and Fit. And I also agree with him that he should not be above Pearly Things. I agree with him, but he should be on the list. He should be on the list, girl. I agree with him that his placement on the list is probably inaccurate. I want to know, however, if they're saying he's more insidious than the others, and that his brand of male supremacy is more insidious and easier to infiltrate the minds of men and women than the others on there. I don't know if that's what they're saying, but I would agree that if they're talking about broadly the most misogynistic group of people, I would put him on the list, but I would not put him at number two. I wouldn't. I would not put him at number two. It is what it is. If you think I'm defending him, I'm not, but I wouldn't put him at number two. So he is mad, girl. Girl, he is mad.
Give me a break. Anyway, let's really move on. So here again is the list, and they actually had an individual write-up specific to me. The real MTR, the real mediocre tutorials and reviews. That's how you know that they did little to no research on me, or they just looked at the titles and the thumbnails and made their decision. Because nobody, literally nobody, even the scammers that hit me up on my email that are trying to get me to download something so that they can get into my bank account, even those guys in Nigerian shit are not calling me the real mediocre tutorials and reviews. Did you guys use a bot to write this? Is a black male content creator in his 30s, about to turn 39 in a little while. Your boy still look good, doesn't he? Who engages in reaction videos to viral videos from clips on sports networks to celebrity news. His discussions mainly revolve around demeaning the subject in the video, especially if it pertains to women. Now, what's interesting about that statement right there is that they chose to utilize a picture from this video right here. The title of it is right here if you want to take a look at that. And within the video, the woman is demeaning men. But see, within their write-ups, they only call out my response to her demeaning statements.
I ain't never seen.
Yes, I can. Please let me know and I'll message you. I've been on this battle since I don't know that days, but it just got it. Just email you, sir. Yeah, the moderators will respond and we will, thank you. We'll setting up the panel. So I'm excited.
A man that I fucking need. You're all replaceable. Don't ever get too comfortable and don't ever think otherwise. You're a guest in this household and you can be kicked out just as quickly as you were welcomed in.
I just get so confused when I see these ladies that are using filters, a ton of makeup, drawn on eyebrows, fake eyelashes, and where you can still see the glue at the top of their head for hair that is not theirs. So confidently come on the screen and talk shit about men. How dare you? How dare you have the lack of decency to come up here and to talk about men as if men are inferior to you? What they're banking on is that anyone who's a decision maker is not going to go and research all of this. The real MTR attracts hundreds of thousands. Thank you very much. Put respect on my name. Via conflated titles, exaggerated thumbnails. Okay, those two are accurate. Listen, it's the content game, baby. The algorithm is a motherfucker, right? You got to do things.
I don't understand. When you admit to the exaggerated thumbnail and whatever, you're putting yourself specifically in a group of men doing the kind of content that you're doing, which is the manosphere and red pill and dragging women. Like, that's where you put your videos and your audience comes from it. Like my videos, I have I do all kinds of thumbnail, right? Some I do boring, some I do whatever, right? My content, I don't think anyone who is being actually legitimate and reasonable would just put my content anywhere, right? Actually, people on the right get confused and people on the left get confused. The women get mad sometimes. I don't know why, because I generally support women. And the men get mad a lot of the times, and then they are surprised when I'm like, oh, women shouldn't hit men. They're like, oh my God, Demon said, because I'm a reasonable person. Women shouldn't hit men. And they're like, the manosphere. I said this and I got so many clips of men in the manosphere shocked that I agree that women shouldn't be hitting men. It's like, wait, what about any of my content said that I would support women hitting men? Anyway, that's a separate story. So, like, I stand on truth. Or at least I try to be truthful and stand on what I think is right. I'm going to play this because this man is annoying.
Consider myself a media public, right? Like I publish things. So you got to do things in order to attract eyes, okay? Because if you don't do that consistently, the algorithm just deranks you, delist you, whatever. I will eat these too, all right? I pop off on my titles and my thumbnails. And above all, content that promotes Manosphere, which I've not said that I am a part of, and demeans women. Now, I forgot to mention this in the beginning, but when they determine how they give you this male supremacy score, they've only utilized the top 10 videos on your platform as a method to quantify everything. Now, let's say that the top 10 videos on my platform have 1 million views each, which is not true, by the way. But if it was, it'd be 10 million views. You know how much views that I have on my channel right now of all of my publicly available videos? Almost 300 million. So the data that you use to establish me is less than 3% of the total amount of views that I have on my channel.
No one is going to watch all your videos if your top 10 performing videos are not indicative of your content. Then push back against it. Tell us why the top 10 videos on your channel are outliers. That's what you would do. Can you tell us with a straight face that the top 10 performing videos on your channel are outliers and they're not indicative of the kind of content one would expect to see on your channel? Can you do that? Because if you can, that would be weird. I can see how one video going viral might not be indicative of your channel, but how the YouTube algorithm work, I try to divest from this actually, is I don't make and keep making the same kind of content, even if the algorithm picks up that content. I don't generally lean into whatever the algorithm picks up. Most YouTubers, in order to grow, will lean heavily into whatever the YouTube algorithm picks up, which makes sense. That's what he does. And he confirms he does this with the exaggerated thumbnail and the names of the video, the title of the video. So if you are not up here denouncing the first 10 videos, the top 10 videos on your channel, if you don't come out and explain why it is that the top 10 videos on your channel doesn't actually represent your channel, shut up and sit somewhere. You can't be mad at them and their methodology if you're not going to explain how their methodology is wrong. I would expect the top 10 performing video on a channel to be representative of the channel. Now, if I find discrepancy in the videos, then I might have to look deeper into the channel. I would recommend looking deeper into channels generally, but if you believe the top 10 videos on your channel does not represent your channel, explain yourself. The floor is yours. Explain how the top 10 videos on your channel does not actually represent your channel. Do it. You can't. Sitting here, oh my God, why would you do that? Okay, they did it. Are they wrong? Let me look at your channel. I will make the determination myself. And I will not watch it. What is he called? What is the mediocre tutorials and review? Da-da-dum. All right, let's see. This video has over 600,000 views. Breakdancing dad drops more receipt exposing gold digging ex-wife. All right, that's from his 6,000 views. Let's see if there's any higher than 6,000. And I'm just doing a random check, mind you. Feminism bad. Girl, 900 woman slaps man and instantly regrets it. Woman has meltdown after Tinder date leaves her with the bill. Actually, you don't even have to go to the top 10. Just look at this. The fact that he's up here trying to defend his channel is actually kind of wild. Girl, the truth is, this is his content. Like, this is your content, girl. One look at your channel, and we know the kind of content you create. Women crying, women yelling, women being vulgar, women getting beat up, and nobody got time for this. Most YouTubers, I even do this, have a list where he probably removed it actually. So, like, you know how we would have the top performing videos in a list as soon as you come into the channel? He probably just removed his because it was easy to tell what his channel was about by looking at the top 10 performing the top 10 performing videos. Girl, I don't even want to finish this. Hurry up.
There is not a statistician on this planet that would say that the way that you guys have gathered data for your bullshit score makes any sense, but I digress. Additionally, the real MTR at
literally one of them did it. So, like, anyway, I'm not.
Advertises different social media platforms aimed to get viewers to his personal site, mtarmy.com. This is actually not true. I am not aiming to get folks to go to this website at all.
I am not aiming to get folks to go to this website at all. All right, right? This is at the 30-minute mark. Hear this.
Is, as these NGOs are, you just never know. All it takes is somebody to not actually review my content, to get past the titles, to get past the thumbnails, and someone who believes that anyone that thinks that anybody who's anti-feminism is a hate mongerer can look at reports like this and I'm gone, demonetized, deleted, what have you. So because of this, I have gone out my way to create a community, a free community, and this will be where the MT Army resides, which will become the best self-development community in the world. We're going to focus on 4 main pillars of growth: your financial fitness, health and wellness,
in the video where he's telling them that he's not trying to get people to his site, he has like a 2-minute commercial in the middle of the video telling people to go to his site. This is like this is so wild to me. He's saying, I am not trying to get people to go to my site, and I can just go back to the 5-minute mark. And at the 5-minute mark, he's telling people to go to his site. But then at the 30-minute mark, he's over here saying, I am not trying to get people to go to. This is wild. In the same video that you're telling us that you are not trying to get people to go to your site, you're telling people to go to your site. Girl, you better try to gaslight the Department of Homeland Security.
To establish me is less than 3% of will reside, again, linked down in the description box below. For example, which allows visitors to schedule personal consultations and join a newsletter, an army. MT Army, it's a play on words. In March 2024, at the time of writing, he had 682,000 subscribers. A 7.4% increase in subscribers suggests that the real MTR is the shit. I'm just kidding. They didn't write that. Is able to attract viewers through his content and further advertising his follower base as an army. See, what they're trying to do is to weaponize this army shit as if I'm creating an incel army that hates women, and he's creating an army in order to be able to do that, further creating a brotherhood and influence within his community. So anyway, the report begins to go into this part right here, where essentially they're trying to sum up what I contribute to and why I'm ranked number 2 in doing this. And you'll just see here the propaganda. It is so crazy. From hate online to offline violence, the Manosphere unabashedly thrives on the endorsement and glorification of violence. I'll just stop right there and I will stop reading, because please, somebody pull out any piece of content that I've ever said that glorifies violence.
The objectification of women, the talking down about women, the disregard of women, the treating women as if they're subhuman, um, and leaning into stereotypes, particularly around Black women. Yes, you are adding to the violence. Yep, you are. You are definitely doing that. Yep, yep. Hmm.
Danger of the incompetence of the authors and the writers to incorrectly surmise what it is that we talk about over here is crazy. And of course, because the DHS is funding this, they are then connecting this to school shooters and extremists such as Elliot Rodger, who became an incel deity in these online communities. Let me just be abundantly clear. If you guys are new to what it is I do not support violence at all. I support self-defense. I support protecting your community, protecting your family. I support your Second Amendment rights to protect you, yourself, your family, your relationships from evil people, from evildoers. This doesn't represent anything that I stand for, but the sheer incompetence is ridiculous. The last part that I wanted to talk about is, and I touched on this a little bit earlier, is the ads that they've been running on my channel for their approved partners. Now, I've taken a look at some of these platforms, and I'll tell you what, the first one I looked into, I'm not going to go into specifics about it. Literally, the first video on their homepage is a whole bunch of men standing in a circle, holding hands. And the first thing that I thought about is that what we're watching or what they are approving is within a feminist's mind where men need to be in order to improve themselves. These were very passive looking men. These were very effeminate looking men. These are not masculine, strong looking men, which makes me go,
He got all of that from men in circles holding hand. And then he got mad at The View for pointing out that these men, if they're talking and doing this and doing that, might be gay. I don't agree with The View. You don't tell people that they're gay based on this. But the fact that you were just mad at The View for doing the exact thing you are doing right now in describing men is wild to me. The men do not look masculine because they're holding hands. And then you are up here mad at women for copying your language and using it. Oh my God. Like, I agree, Finn. He not only deserves to be on the list, he deserves to be ranked highly on the list. I agree. I definitely agree. He should be on the list. Because the fact that this man just out here dragging these men for not being masculine men because they're inner circle holding hands is wild. After you're just dragging these women for saying these men are this and that because they're not masculine is wild. They got it from you. People like you who dictate how women see and should view men, they're accepting your views of manhood and they're using it to understand manhood, and now you're mad. This is what you've told women and how women should interpret male behavior. That's what you did. No more standing in circles and holding hands. Just flip-flopping. I wish I liked cursing. Because at this point I should do the Beyonce. He did. Flip.
back to the thought that these are the images that they want to project onto men today. And apparently, this is an organization that has set the standards in our day-to-day of free speech of what men should be looking at. And if you do not abide by their thought process of what men should be looking at, you are by definition misogynistic. What I want these organizations to understand is that coming across as pro-man doesn't mean that you are anti-woman. I think decades-long brainwashing of anti-male sentiment on the backs of when a patriarchy actually existed is why you are having so much negative consequences on the modern man today. And a lot of this content
not anti-male rhetoric from when a patriarchy existed is wild and nasty work. So a patriarchy no longer exists? Who are you looking at, girl? Who are you looking at telling us that a patriarchy doesn't exist? We see each other. I see you.
Is the antithesis of this unchecked and this uncriticized message that has hit men for these decades. Personally, I'd love to get into a place and a mindset where content like myself is not even needed. But we have mainstream organizations that continue to say and stand up for the ideals that men are useless, I will continue to be here. I will continue to grow and I will continue to thrive. But I guess on the bright side, if you guys ever needed proof that I'm not controlled by anything or anybody, then here is your proof. But listen, as I exit, shout out to my community. I can't.
Blah, 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 blah. Anyway, let me go in the after show and tell this man to be better, because that's all I'm going to do in the after show. Thank you all for being here. This was absolutely useless, filled with contradiction, laced with foolishness. He's crying and whining. At one hand, he's saying, don't care that I'm on this list. And another, he's crying about being on the list. Girl, you are mad, and that's fine. I would be sad to now be better. I think it's interesting that in this video, where he is obviously taken aback from being on this list, that he doesn't really engages with anything to say that he isn't doing what they're saying he's doing, because the truth is he is. The attempt at gaslighting failed because you're talking about these women are being misandrous by repeating talking points from men. And I don't understand how you don't understand how you fall very directly into these talking points, and how you, even though you say, I am no longer a part of the Manosphere, haven't updated your programming, and so you are definitely still a part of the Manosphere. There is a part of me, honestly, that does feel sad for these men. Let me do it. I'm going to do it. I've been actually, yeah, right. Hey, Katrina, yeah, he does prove the point. Let me explain why I feel bad. The Hotep Themis. Sorry, I'm trying to find. I feel no sympathy. I don't expect you to feel any sympathy, and I don't expect women, because you guys are actually the ones who are being harmed, and this kind of rhetoric is aimed at. So I don't expect you all to feel sympathy, and I don't expect you all to agree with me on this. I don't, and I expect to get a ton of pushback. I do think these men are hurt. They are hurt. Their egos are hurt. And I think the reflection, I can only speak for Black men in that, and I don't even speak for Black men. I can understand a Black man's perspective. I think from my awakening, realizing and accepting that there was a point in history where I was literally subjugated, right? Where I was less than human and treated as such, not me personally, but people who look like me. I can understand how a society that says men are supposed to lead and protect, I can understand how that can be psychologically harmful to a man, realizing that you don't actually have the capacity to either provide or protect. I can understand how that can be painful. So that feeling I can sympathize with. Wanting to be heard, I can sympathize with. Wanting to feel validated and to feel whole and to feel like you're important and someone cares for you, I can sympathize with it. I had my mother, my brother, and my father who were very instrumental in making me feel important, making me feel heard, even when I was saying nonsense. I had my grandmother, I had friends, I had people, I had a very loving environment for most of my life, right? The absence of that kind of environment, I can understand why so much vitriol is coming from people online. Go get help. Go to therapy. Make friends and deal with that internal work that you need to deal with. Spewing hate online is not going to be helpful to you. It is only going to disrupt the reputation, black men reputation generally, but your own reputation. I stand firmly behind everything that I say, and I can walk into any room with my head held high because I am proud of the way that I've conducted myself on here. Even where I've had misstep, it felt righteous in the time. And if I am wrong, I can apologize for it. The fact is, your pain is real. Your feeling of inadequacy might be real for you. It does not mean you get to verbally abuse women because you don't feel heard and are seen. That is not okay. And you have to understand it's not okay. The point at which you're pointing to genital mutilation in men in the United States and completely ignoring all these different countries that engage with women in this very specific way is wild to me. The fact that you cannot see how women's bodies are being policed, but you think men's bodies are being policed more than women's bodies is wild to me. That you have to have the kind of blinders on that no human being should have on. Like the glass has to be absolutely opaque, not even translucent, just like straight up, you can't see through it. Because you have to be so engulfed in your own ego and your own kind of self-centeredness have to take center stage for you to think that men are being policed in terms of their bodies and sex than women. That is wild to me. Sure, women make jokes that are bad about size or whatever, and that's not great. But who perpetuated and to think and use that as how men are being oppressed and completely ignore, like literally industries built on stamping on women's self-esteem and self-worth around sex is wild. Like for you not to engage with any of that is wild. Like your ego and your hurt, I can understand. What you do with that is like really toxic. Like what you're doing is toxic. And I'm going to end it here because we're at the 3 hour mark and I didn't want it to be this long. Be better. You got put on a list for a reason. Hopefully, that will make you think more deeply about what you're doing, but I doubt it. I think a lot of people will take this as a badge of honor. Until they're in handcuffs being dragged into the jail, they're not going to have the foresight to think, I probably should engage more deeply with the content that I am doing and make sure that history does not look at me as one of the toxic people who did not engage meaningfully to help the people around me. And that's unfortunate. Be better. Like the message is to be better. That's it. And I'm going to end before this go over the 3 hour mark. Thank you all so much for being here. Remember to please like the video on your way out. Have a good one. Bye.